Do you remember? Do you remember how at the beginning of this year, back in January, I did a program, Haters Hate Money and Single Men Won? I did those programs, giving you the insight and analysis you receive absolutely nowhere else. And in the process of doing so, we were mentioning about cities and places where people are cheating, where in the top places for people to cheat. This is back in January now. This was back in January. Some of you remember the list that you see on your screen right now. Remember again, this was back in January. The top 10 up there on your screen: Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Tampa, Cincinnati, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. Those are the top 10. And then you can keep going on from there. Actually, we're not a bunch of surprises. I mean, Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, Vegas. I mean, you probably could have called out that top 5 all on your own just off of instinct. That was back in January. Here we are now, 7-8 months later, and you've got something new abreast here. Ashley Madison released an updated list here revealing their top 20 American cities for adulterous behavior. With the tagline there that something is going on in the Midwest. And here on your screen, you can see what they are listing as the top 10 cities. Well, the top 20. You can take a look there and see what they have posted. And number 1, Miami has been unseated. Miami has been unseated by Columbus, Ohio. Well, I'm sure you saw a lot. I'm sure you thought of a lot of places that could overthrow Miami. But did you think that Columbus, Ohio would do that? Well, hang on to your statisticians here. Because if you take a look down the list, you can see the list is Columbus, then Miami, Orlando, Vegas, Atlanta. Wait. Richmond, Virginia. Damn! Cincinnati, Ohio coming in at number 7. What? Twin Cities, Minnesota. Have you ever even heard of Twin Cities, Minnesota if you don't live in Minnesota? Tampa, Florida, Buffalo, New York. But if you keep going, the 11 through 20, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Spokane, Washington, Cleveland, Ohio. Damn! So do you realize that in the top 13, 3 of the top 13 are Ohio? What in the hell is going on in Ohio? What is happening in Ohio? But when you take a look at the rest of the list and everything, what's happening in that Midwest? I mean, these are not just your major tourist centers that you would normally suspect. It's not those. Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Denver, Colorado, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So they beating out New Orleans? What's going on in Baton Rouge? Tucson, Arizona, Colorado Springs. So there's your 1-2 punch right there. Denver, and not Boulder, Colorado, but Colorado Springs. And anybody who's been to Colorado Springs in the last couple of years can definitely see what's happening in Colorado Springs. Makes it very easy to believe. Austin, Texas. So with all the explosive growth that has happened in Austin, it's brought on something more than just a growth in economics. As the economics go, so goes the picking and choosing when you're going to monkey branch. Austin, Texas, Boise, Idaho. Interesting. So Spokane, Boise, Wichita, Kansas. So this list now has some unusual entrants here. Twin Cities, Minnesota. Come on now. What's happening, folks? What is happening? Because you're seeing a change from what the list used to be. You're seeing a change from what it used to be. It used to be a lot of them were mostly the usual suspects. But now you're seeing a radical difference. And I'm asking you all, what's happening in there? But I want to go beyond that. I want to go beyond that because you all have heard, and folks have really dredged up, it's really something that came out really a decade ago. I want to say from Daily Mail. Daily Mail, about a decade ago, had given a study, and they had talked about how 50% of women, not just married women, but women across the board, have a, quote, backup partner. Now, if you've been listening to me, you've known about this for decades, but yeah, it's not 50% of women. It's really every woman. What? Every woman who is in a so-called relationship, she got three. A woman would not sit up here and attach herself to one man if she didn't have other options. They understand that men cannot tolerate that kind of situation happening. So every woman has a couple of dudes that she knows are easy prospects. Now, she'll tell you, she'll rationalize it to herself like it's okay, but the bottom line is she knows break glass in case of emergency. This fella will get up at 2:00 in the morning to come and help her to carry a refrigerator up the stairs, to help change the tire on her car. It'll usually be some sympathified coworker. It'll usually be that. Usually some sympathified coworker who's been trying to shoot his shot, and she makes sure that even if he doesn't have her number, she's got his. So just in case she has a flat tire, just in case she needs to move her couch, just in case she gets that final eviction notice, or in many cases, to avoid that, the fella that she can call up, I ain't never asked you for nothing before.
Lie.
But I needs me $500 to pay this rent. And she knows this fella here, he got to take whatever he can get. And he's like, finally, she's asking me for something. Here's my end. And she's asking for something so sensitive, something so pertinent as money. He's like, oh, it must be serious. No, the situation is serious, my dude, but what she feel about you is not serious. This is break glass in case of emergency. She is testing your desperation threshold, and you just failed the test. He's sitting up here. If he ain't got the money, he calling somebody else to try to get it from them. Can I get that? He's calling somebody else to see if he can get it from them. This is what we're up against. But I want to go a little bit deeper into it here tonight because that video, folks have resurrected that. And we're talking about something that's like a decade old, talking about most women having a backup plan or a backup partner. So on the internet, the problem is having up-to-date information matters because there are some things that are evergreen and are constant. And then there are some things that you really got to make sure you update your files. And that's what we're here for tonight.
Join me and I will complete your training.
Because I've come across a few things, and it's time for me to let in tonight's program here, I'm talking about, they're all cheating, but especially the women, but it's really an update for the men. This is not really for the women. Most of this stuff here, the women already know, it's all about concealing for the men. But fellas, there's a few things in particular that I don't think you realize. Most men today don't realize that if they did, they would not be engaging in some of the behavior, some of the naive and vulnerable behavior that you recognize and notice. So this is why I want to do this in this manner. So first, I've reminded you about that study that said that most of these women out here today, all women, not just married, but all of them got a backup partner, a back pocket dude, a backup plan. You got that. I'm going to show you something a little bit different here. This is from Tech Report, and I found this to be interesting, and I really do think it is worth checking out here, especially when you get into the numbers of it. Let me go ahead and throw that up on your screen for you. I think it's very pertinent once we start getting into the numbers of it here. And when you take a look at it, Main cheating statistics. The percentage of men and women in 2017 who cheated on their partners. Now, this article is from this year, but something I want you to take a look at here. The percentage of men and women in 2017 who cheated on their partners was 20% and 13%. So 20% men, 13% women. Although it does depend on how you define cheating, which is why I wanted to get into this particular article. There has been an increase in the rate of women infidelity since 1990 by 40%. Damn! That means the women are finally just being more honest. The number is far higher than this. 16% of married couples admitted to being unfaithful at some point in their marriage. 30% of individuals started cheating on their spouse with someone at work. Damn! Well, that kind of bears out what Jason just told you. Because women have a far easier time getting at it work because they know the desperate dudes at work are trying to get away. They either don't have a woman at home or they're trying to get away from the one they got at home. They can see an easy mark and an easy target from a mile away. He's usually hanging off of him. She can see it in his eyes. So she knows she's got options. According to research, 57% of marriages ended in divorce due to infidelity. Not a true statement. Not an accurate statement, misleading statement. However, who files 3/4 of the divorces? By the way, 88% of ladies, 88% of ladies put more emphasis on emotional affairs over physical affairs. Remember what I said, women want a man who is reliable. Men want a woman who is loyal and gives allegiance. The women want a man who is reliable. Therefore, it's important. She wants to make sure that she can emotionally invest in him, but that's going to be because he needs to be reliable. The percentage of men and women facing emotional affairs was 45% and 35%. Not really sure what they mean by facing emotional affairs, but 60% of all emotional affairs start in a work environment. And then take a look at what this woman who wrote this article, look at what this woman says for the last point. 77% of men confess to engaging in some form of emotional affair, while women accounted for 91%. Damn! Now, do you see what this despicable individual who wrote this article did? She went through all these stats, and then when she gets to the last one, she puts the men out there first, and the very last thing that you see from here is, and women account for 91%. You want to talk about prejudiced, biased, so-called journalism. You want to talk about that? I mean, she went through all these other things, and the most important point, by the way, women account for 91%. Fellas, 91%? That basically means all.
And deal with it, nigga.
Do you understand that? 91%? So that basically means all. Over 90%. That's basically all. That means that your chances of meeting a female who doesn't or hasn't is minuscule. 91%, that's basically all y'all chicks. That's basically all of you. Married or so-called single, that's basically all. For the fellas out there who don't understand it and don't recognize it, what I'm letting you know is there is a minefield out there. There's a minefield that people are not talking about, not discussing, not saying anything about here. Now, let's go a little bit further. down in the article here, she makes some more points. And I want to point these statistics out to you. And by the way, if you agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me the green check mark emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 1,200 people in here live tonight. And I'm not afraid to hurt some feelings, but if people don't like what they're hearing here, we'll wrap it up a little bit early. But if you agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me the green check mark emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button, or we'll wrap it up early. That's okay too. We got other things to do for the weekend. According to research, 57% of divorces were caused by infidelity. More than half of divorce cases are caused by one partner cheating, which highlights how serious this problem is. In marriages where cheating occurs but divorce doesn't happen, it can lead to a loss of trust, you think. Now, it goes on to say here that 60% of unfaithful partners did not plan to divorce before an affair. So you're saying that the affair pushed them over to say they wanted to divorce? Or did somebody who was filing for the divorce? Because remember, 57% of divorces were caused by infidelity. So are you saying the folks who were unfaithful, the ones, you know what, I like this cheating thing. Let me go ahead and make this a lifetime. Now we get down to the nitty gritty. For 88% of women, emotional affairs are more devastating than physical affairs. Emotional cheating refers to being intimate with the opposite sex without physical contact. There can sometimes be a sexual feeling or tension, but no sex occurs. Men are more offended than women when their spouses engage in an emotional affair. The impact of a passionate affair by a partner can be devastating compared to a physical affair. Yes, because just because a man has sex with a woman doesn't mean that he is loyal to her. Both men and women understand a man having sex with a woman does not mean that he is loyal to you. That means you were available and he was buying when you were selling. But that does not mean that he's loyal to you. For a female, however, if she has a man that she knows is committed to her, and yet she allows herself or puts herself to be dominated by another man, that means that that other man is marking his territory. But the real issue is that she cannot do that unless she has emotionally carried her allegiance to somebody else. So that's why when a woman starts emotionally drifting, that's it, she's ruined. Or as the old folks used to say, runt. 45% of men have engaged in an emotional affair compared to 35% of women. False, untrue. They've already debunked that, so ridiculous here. 77% of men confessed to having engaged in emotional cheating, while 91% of women stated guilty of this act. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So the woman who wrote this article is doing everything possible to save the most damaging thing for last on every single part of it. 91% of women, 91% of women are consciously keeping other men as orbiters, specifically for the purpose of having another option. Specifically for that purpose. I'm doing tonight's program here because I want to highlight something. Because you see, I'm not discussing dating. I'm discussing power dynamics. And I was the guy who had to explain to you all what nobody else explained, which was that men risk far more in a relationship than the female does, because men are the only ones expected to risk their physical safety and to give up their lives if the female that he is with is threatened, even if she is just, quote unquote, just his girlfriend. What? When folks talk about giving, the females run around giving this nonsense about stop giving wife benefits to boyfriends. Okay, then that means that every guy you are dating, if you get yourself into a physical jam and some dude runs up at you on the parking lot, Your boyfriend should not give you the husband treatment of risking life and limb for your safety. If you get accosted or assaulted in a parking lot, he needs to treat you like a girlfriend, not like a wife. Oh, interesting. Now watch the females do the Homer Simpson thing, backing up to the bushes. Wait a minute now. If you take me on a date, if you take me to Olive Garden, you should be willing to die for that trip to Olive Garden.
And deal with it, nigga.
Did you all get that? That if a male takes you on a date, even on the first date, fellas, you do realize that that's what females say that you're signing up for the very first date. If you take her on a coffee date, if you take her to the park, if you take her to the beach, if you take her to a bus stop, nigga, you have signed up at that moment. The minute that she is in your company, you have now signed up to be her protector, provider, and bodyguard. And if somebody whips out a gun, you are expected to stand between the fair maiden and the barbarian with the gun. You just met her. First time you ever met this chick off of Tinder or Swindle or whatever the hell it is. First time you met her, as soon as you met her on first introduction, at you all's first introduction, that's it. You have signed up to die. Notice the female's not in the chat room saying, "No, Jason, that's not right." Now, fellas, you ain't got no sex. You haven't gotten a peck on the cheek. But you are expected to do everything the husband would do. And you just met her to evaluate whether or not you two should even have a relationship. Notice in the chat room, there's not a single female posting, "Jason, that's not right." As women, we don't expect men to risk their lives just because they agreed to go on a coffee date with us. Notice there are no females saying that. Y'all notice I keep saying this over and over. No females are jumping in to correct me. They're not jumping in to correct me. They're not jumping in to check me. And they won't be doing it. The females are all right. Well, you know that's correct, though. So let me get this straight. You're not expected to give up sex on the first date. But a male should be expected to give up his life on the first date.
Alrighty then.
I just want to make sure we got the rules straight. So the men are expected to give up their lives, but the females are not expected to give up some sex. That's a hell of a preferential proposition when you think about it. Ain't that something? So, fellas, just in case anybody tries to diminish your value in a relationship, I'm the guy who brought you the real world stats. Please make sure you repeat this all properly so you don't make a fool of yourself. If you repeat it the way I'm giving it to you, you will get the exact same responses you're hearing right now. All right. I might respond to that. I might not. But the bottom line is, as men, that's what's expected of us. And I think that's a pretty high hell of a price, especially for somebody that you haven't even officially gotten into a relationship with. You two meet on Instagram or something. You agree to a coffee date. This is not your damn girlfriend. You just agreed to go out somewhere. And from the moment you go out with her, you are expected to engage in all those obligations and responsibilities. In the chat room, Sean, if you don't stop, y'all know she would be the first person. I wish the fella, if she did go on a date with a fella, if you were sitting up here at Starbucks and damn me, Debo runs up on Sean grips them butt cheeks. Hey, baby. Damn, you dragging around here. And if the fella she with, she turns and looks at him, and the fella you on the coffee date turn around like, he goes running off. Oh, Lordy, I didn't know there was thugs around here. Do y'all think she's going to come back to this chat room and say, well, you know, I wasn't really expecting him to do nothing. I wasn't expecting him to stop Debo from grabbing my thong. Do y'all really think Sean gonna say that? While she's sitting in the chat room fronting, do you really think she's gonna come back and say that? After Debo done grabbed them damn Victoria's Secrets on her, do you think she's gonna come? Well, I wasn't really expecting him to do nothing. I mean, that would have been too much to expect. Because if those are the rules, then that means old boy could call you back the next week, right? Damn, son, I'm so glad to hear. Did you make it home okay, baby? What? Can y'all imagine that? So, son, if you don't expect it, that means old boy can call you back in a couple of days. Hey, son. Hey, girl. He popped up in your DMs. Last time you saw him, Debo was grabbing your damn denim jeans, trying to yank them, and old boy ran off. And, Lordy! All you heard was his Camaro crank up and skid out the parking lot. Okay, Sean, so that means that after the night of the incident, old boy can call you back. Hey, back like the Joker in The Dark Knight with Two-Face and hi. Hey, Sean. I'm glad to see you. You okay there, Sean? I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see you all right. Yeah, I was worried about you. I was real worried. That nigga looked serious. He looked like he did some time. Oh, that big nigga looked serious when he was grabbing your drawers. He looked serious. I'm so glad you all right. Can we go back out again next Thursday?
And deal with it, nigga.
Nigga, please.
What?
Hey, Sean, I'm so glad you all right. Can we go back out next Thursday? I promise we ain't going to Starbucks again. We ain't gonna do that. Next time we going to Dunkin' Donuts. Hey, son, next time I know a safer place. We going to Dunkin' Donuts next time. We ain't going back to Starbucks. Debo might be hanging out in the parking lot. Next time, Dunkin' Donuts it is. Do y'all really think that's the way the conversation with Sean's gonna go? Do you really think she's gonna... Okay, let's go. How many of y'all think that's the way the conversation gonna go? If you doubt that's how she's gonna respond, give me the red X emoji in the chat room. Give me the red X if you like, man, that ain't gonna happen. And I bring it up for a reason. I bring that up for a reason. Because among other things I was taking a look at here, and I just thought all this was very interesting when I see these kind of things. And what is the central nexus of it all? And I want the fellas to understand that we have entered an era of absolutely ruthless hypergamy here. I want to show you something. Like Fire Marshal Bill. Let me show you something. This is from the Daily Mail. The biggest problem with dating after divorce, any new man could still find my failed marriage plastered all over social media. Now, I want to go into this. Apologies in advance because the Daily Mail website is just overrun with ads. It is just, it's inhumane what they're doing on this website now. It's inhumane. So in the interest of kind of avoiding some of that, it is inhumane what they do on the website here. So in the interest of trying to avoid that, I'm just warning you early about some of the nonsensory. But I want to go through this because I think there's really something to learn. I think there's really something to learn here, and I think there's a dimension of this other folks not talking about, but I really do think this is key, and it connects hand in glove with everything I was talking about here earlier and should serve as a warning, although when I do open up the phone lines to speak, maybe some of you folks have a different opinion or perspective on it, but I'd be interested in hearing that. Now, this woman says that just under 2 years ago, age 31, I went on a dating app for the first time. Until that day, I had never formed a romantic connection with a stranger, and here I was, a month after my husband ended our marriage, sending devil emojis to a man I knew virtually nothing about. What? Sounds like she was getting ready to start her hoe phase. So she got divorced and she's like, let me go ahead and hit these streets. Well, I'm divorced, so you see, I've been a good girl, so I've earned some hoe time. Ladies, don't even act like she is some type of outlier. This is the standard operating procedure for y'all. Just go ahead and stand on the business. Just go ahead and stand on the business. This is what you all do. She's fresh out the marriage. She's like, man, look here. I was only landing with one nigga all these years. It's time to hit these streets and get it all the way in. It's time to hit these streets, and I mean get drug. So much for I want security and spend the rest of my life. As soon as the marriage ended, she said, man, look here, let's light this son of a gun up. It wasn't as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be. What? Until he asked for my Instagram profile. So when he asked for something that could show documentation, and take a look, she says the word documented. The latest 3 posts documented my wedding day, which had taken place just 7 short months earlier. In one, I'm sickeningly happy, showing off the 5,000-pound bespoke wedding dress I imagined I'd eventually pass on to my daughter. Did you give the dress back to him? Another was a tribute to my bridesmaid, to my 6 bridesmaids. Then there was the first dance. Shortly before handing over my profile details, I deleted them all. Damn! My potential date never has to know, I thought. But then he messaged. I have to ask, are you engaged? I failed to consider the rows upon rows of images of a man who, while only briefly my husband, was my partner for 9 years, until one Thursday evening over aubergine pasta. Just 6 months after our picture-perfect wedding, he told me he no longer wanted to be married. I wonder why. You was ready to run back to the streets of the heartbeat. I wonder why. He was like, yeah, you ain't wife material. Although the breakup was swift, the separation of our shared life was painfully slow. It took 6 months to sell our house and a full year before we were divorced. In the meantime, we were still connected in myriad ways via the internet. Like most couples below the age of 45, every milestone of our relationship, fellas, pay close attention right here. Jason is trying to teach you something, especially to the married fellas. The ones who want to call me up and argue, by the way, I'm trying to teach you something here. Like most couples below the age of 45, every milestone of our relationship was documented. We shared snapshots of our lives together on Instagram and, until recently, Facebook. It took months for me to change my relationship status on Facebook, which, to my horror, told my friends I was still engaged. I hope the fellas are paying rapt attention right now. I have posted pictures of the flat we bought in March 2019 and the house we bought 2 years later. There was the predictable, quote, I said yes post in August 2019, and later pictures of the dog we adopted shortly after our wedding. Back on the dating app, I babbled an excuse to my new love interest, so she's sitting up here lying already, claiming it was a long story, but that I was definitely single. My foray into dating apps just weeks after my husband dropped his bombshell was, at first, a distraction from my imploding life. I hadn't given it much thought, assuming it was like a digital game that I could use to escape. Still, when this new man asked me out on a real-life date, I went. During the evening, I succumbed to a case of word vomit and blurted out the whole debacle, holding back tears as I admitted that the last man to fall in love with me had brutally changed his mind. I wonder why. My date was surprisingly understanding. He took it all in stride, as if I told him I was vegetarian, instantly putting me at ease. Still, in the following days, I found myself deleting more and more snapshots of my past life. Some showed off important moments in my career or the joy of a friend's wedding. They were events that ideally I'd like to have a documented history of, but they all featured my husband and me smiling or him alone alongside a gushing caption I'd written about how lucky I was to have him. It's just social media, you might think. What's the big deal? But as a 33-year-old, I spent the entirety of my life online. For us, Instagram is a living history of our best bits, the equivalent of a cherished photo album, but one that everyone who knows you and some who don't can look at. Erasing great big chunks almost makes you feel fraudulent, not to mention sad. And it functions as a sort of dating prospectus. Riffling through a person's social media can have social media profiles is these days part of the standard of meeting new people, and large gaps in content look suspicious. Then there are the photos where I've been tagged by others where they've uploaded an image of me, then linked it to my profile. There are hundreds of me in a wedding dress and at my hen party wearing a white suit with feathery cuffs. So she goes on and speaks like this here. I don't want to go into all these things here that she's talking about, but I want to get down here. It says, my first few dates felt like I'd been transported to a parallel universe. Oddly, it had a calming effect. I was so focused on the correct dating etiquette that I forgot all about what struck me as passive-aggressive emails from my husband and the fact that in my early 30s, I was back living with my mother. When, within a few months, my dating app man became my boyfriend, I was careful who I told, keeping it within my inner circle of best friends and what I posted on Instagram. Now, you heard her say all that, and she's going somewhere with this. When it eventually did get out, a few friends made unhelpful comments along the lines of, "Does he know you're still married?" And "Poor guy dealing with your baggage." In hindsight, I spent far too much agonizing about what other people thought about my decisions. I wonder if we would care quite so much if it wasn't for social media piling on the pressure to live our lives for the entertainment of our followers. I'm not the only one battling with this new form of post-breakup bureaucracy. Since writing about my divorce in this paper, I've received hundreds of messages from women sharing similar stories. I've endeavored to respond to every message. Sometimes, out of perverse curiosity, I end up scrolling through their profile and searching for evidence of their former partner. 9 times out of 10, there is none. Even insignificant reminders of the life you lost are unbearable. They have to go. But the process of deciding what to keep and what to bin is an unwanted trip down memory lane if you need reminding. Fellas, listen to this next part because I went through all of that to bring you here. So what's the solution, she says. Now, you know this doesn't end well. Never celebrate any romantic milestone on social media on the off chance one of you has a change of heart. Or, for those of us who are especially unlucky in love, resign yourself to a constant cycle of Instagram reinvention, wiping away any photographic evidence of old flames. The option I chose, and that's the woman who wrote this article, by the way, the option that I chose is to delete all up to a point. I eventually got rid of every picture featuring my ex-husband taken since roughly a year before our engagement. I kept some earlier ones that featured me in my 20-something prime, false flagging, which I couldn't bear to erase forever because that she never looked this good again. A couple of vague hints at his existence remain, like a shot of the walk-in wardrobe he built me in 2021, just too impressive to delete. So the benefits without the liabilities. Over the years, I'd also accepted follower requests from about 25 of his friends, colleagues, and aunts. I felt I had no choice but to delete and block these. I couldn't stand the thought of him having an insight into my day, even if the information was passed from a mutual friend. He doesn't get to ease his guilt by seeing pictures of me happily eating brunch or getting a promotion. I wanted to start my new life free to be the person I am now. Not his idea of me. I blocked and deleted my husband on Instagram within days of the relationship ending. Some describe an odd addiction to content shared by ex-partners. I, however, couldn't even bear to see his name in my email inbox. I spent the past year attempting to align the shattered pieces of my life in some sort of workable order. Whine, whine, moan, moan. And I just wanted to bring that into relief. By the way, did you hear that? The conversation is about, so what do you do? What do you do? Jason, why do you bring all this up? Because what I'm telling you is that, do you see how this connects perfectly with what you saw before? Do you see how that connects with it? Seamlessly. Fellas, if she's holding out for another dude, if she is keeping her options open, what they're now telling you is that, do you realize that the method that folks are using here today is to make sure they don't have to clean up their social media timelines? They don't have to clean anything up. If you have been put in a very limited way or in no way at all, then they're already preparing for your exit, or should I say for their exit, so that it's a clean break, and so they have as little cleanup to do as possible. When instead of going to their job, they're going to go to the internet, and now we're going to have very little tracks to clean up. There are a bunch of you fellas listening to me right now. You are in long-term relationships. You got a girlfriend long-term. You got a baby mama. Many of you got wives. And you are completely oblivious to the fact that you have no real permanent real estate in her public-facing life. Did you realize that? You're taking a look at her social media. Let me explain to you guys what that means. You got folks telling you that it doesn't matter to them, and do you realize they're making sure they have a social media presence? You show up once or twice a year. And it's not anything that would really get a bunch of attention. It's usually going to be very random. if you guys would actually think about it for a moment, and you girls as well. But let's just be honest, the women are far more calculating about this than the men are, because the women understand that women being offended by what they see on a man's timeline is not going to affect them as much as a man being offended. Fellas, have you taken a look at your woman's timeline on her social media to see whether or not you are easily erased? Well, Jason, how would you do that? Well, Instagram is especially convenient for this, because you see, what you would have is a situation where it's nothing but pictures. So all she has to do is go through her Instagram, and anytime she sees a picture of you, just remove them. But she wouldn't want to have this overwhelming number. You wouldn't want to have this overwhelming number. So she's only going to have a few pictures of you, and everything else is going to be about her. So what do you know? You made an occasional cameo onto the timeline, but you don't have any sort of permanence. It's not really anything that disrupts it. Some of you are saying that reminds you of Russell Wilson and Ciara, and it should. Ciara is prominently featured on Russell Wilson's timeline. He is not so prominently featured on hers. When a woman is claiming her territory, she's constantly referencing that man. If she's saying things about you to get attention on her, that's a warning sign. If she's talking about the things she's gotten from you, she's talking about the gifts. Fella, talking about the gifts she's received is not talking about you. That's not a flex on you. A lot of you fellas think it's a flex on you. It isn't. Do you realize that that's exactly what you do while you're entertaining other options? Do you realize that? Do you realize that that is exactly what you do when you're entertaining other options? Which brings us back to this amazing list of the most cheatingest cities, according to Ashley Madison. You've gone well beyond the most usual suspects, the party vacation towns, Miami, Vegas. Do you realize that you've moved beyond that? You've moved to places where people, quote unquote, live, where they, quote unquote, raise families. Did you realize that? I mean, Hotlanta, yeah, you get that out of the way. Richmond, Virginia, Cincinnati, Ohio, Twin Cities, Minnesota, Tampa, Florida, Buffalo, New York, Spokane, Washington. Tell me, where's the lit life in Spokane, Washington? What is that? What vacation spot or resort spot is Spokane, Washington? Cincinnati, Ohio. This is Rust Belt territory, man. This is old industrial territory. How did they end up on this list? Places that have a disproportionate number of people who go to get married and have families. How is it that they ended up here? If this is really just a party cities thing and it's the usual suspects thing, how did those cities end up here? Colorado Springs? Explain to me how exactly Colorado Springs ends up making the cut. How did they end up making the cut? How? Explain to me how they get in there. Wichita, Kansas? What? Boise, Idaho? Many of you do not understand how they made the list here, but that's why you've got me here to explain some of those things for you. Because if other folks here don't know how to explain that to you and how it ties into everything else I've ever talked about, let me go ahead and give you a reminder. Let me go ahead and give you a reminder here, folks. Remember this list? 720 degrees of the analysis you'll receive nowhere else. Remember this list I gave you? Do you see something in particular that should be standing out to you from the list that we just had up here? You take a look at where people are going. And by the way, this list has changed because now Detroit is number 1 and Atlanta is number 2. I bring that up to say, do you realize that from the list I got on here, these are mostly places that have seen a tremendous surge in housing. Damn! Did you all get that? The places on the list now that are primary places for an increase in cheating, did you notice that most of these places on here now are some of the newer entrants that you've seen in the last decade of places where have had housing booms, population increases, places where people are going to move for economic reasons, particularly to buy a house. Now, notice it's not men who are driving the boom in housing purchases. Remember, it's not men who are doing that. It's females who are driving all the purchasing of the major increase of housing purchases and mortgage debt now. That's being driven by the females. And so what do we see? You see Columbus, Ohio, which is experiencing a market increase in housing demand and mortgages. Wichita, Kansas, Boise, Idaho. Boise has seen a tremendous surge in housing demand since the pandemic. Not even over the last decade, but just since the pandemic in just the last 5 years. For those of you who didn't know, Boise, Idaho has seen a tremendous boom, tremendous housing speculation and investment. Isn't that interesting? Austin, Texas, experiencing a tremendous amount of growth right now in Austin, Texas. So all the growth was in Dallas and Houston. Now Austin is a major driver. Well, Tucson, Arizona. Now, I went through Tucson, Arizona a few years ago. Yeah, it's the desert, but remember, in Arizona, whenever housing booms, there's Phoenix and then there's Tucson. Who is doing the majority of this new housing purchasing? We've covered that here a couple of months ago. We firmly solidified it's the females taking on student loan debt and taking on housing debt. And what do you know? The places where housing is being driven up, that's where more cheating is beginning to happen now. You're seeing the two maps overlaying each other. Not necessarily talking about population increases, folks. I'm talking about where housing is being bought. Isn't that amazing? So you've spent so much time listening to all your red pill gurus tell you that the problem is when a woman gets a job and if she has a degree and a job. I'm the guy telling you all, if that female prioritizes putting her own roof over her own head, then she sees her job and that roof as veto power. And that fidelity is a maybe. Because now she's like, well, what's his real ability to punish me if I'm not faithful to him? What will happen? He can't take my job and he can't take my house. In the chat room, stay positive. No, long term, that's a failed strategy, but we're not talking long term because these things usually blow up in men's faces within a couple of years. So in the long term, of course, it fails, but it's not going to stop the short term problems and conflicts it'll cause. That's why I'm going down that list. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, In Louisiana, sure. I'm from Louisiana, you get the point. Denver, Colorado, always been a problem, especially where housing is concerned. Denver has always been an issue. Cleveland, Ohio, need I say more? Spokane, Pittsburgh. So do you see what's happening there? Not Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Not Philadelphia, but Pittsburgh. I think I had a caller call me from Pittsburgh a little while ago. Yeah. I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about power dynamics. Do you all understand here that you used to go look to see if the chick had a cool little job that would allow her to go to a resort or a resort town or a resort city? That's what you used to look for. And I understand that. But have you considered that some of this mortgage stuff and this desperation to buy their own house, have you considered what that means? So, you either end up with a chick who ain't got a damn thing to bring you but the clothes on her back. Damn! A lot of you fellas out here, you're giving up the damn farm to a chick who walked through the door with nothing but the clothes on her back. I don't know what could tell you I'm not here to contribute to a relationship more than a chick who ain't got nothing to offer you but the clothes on the back and the 4 little bastard kids she come with. But okay, fella, ball out. So you're stuck between that chick and the other one who's brought all the veto power in the world, and then you wonder, do you realize that if she's got a job she's invested in, when I say invested, a job that she has invested herself in, Freudian slip. So at her job, she's got prospects at her job. She's got her orbiters at her job, a place usually you ain't working where your woman is. So she's got her orbiters there. That's her little hunting ground. And she's now got a house to engage in her shenanigans with them in. Damn! I just wanted to take a moment here to point that out. In my role as a public service announcement here, I want to take a moment to point that out to you. I want to take a moment to point that out to you. And if you overlay these things and look at them, that's what you end up with. If you overlay them and look at them, that's what you end up with. And did anybody sit here and explain it to you in that manner so you can see, by the way, yeah, that's the way that goes. That's the way that goes. A lot of fellas are going to miss those kind of cues because nobody explained to them exactly what it is. You're putting yourself at unlimited risk, and somebody just needs to go ahead and explain it. By the way, fellas, did anybody tell you that when you look at those numbers there, that's kind of daunting? That's kind of daunting. Yeah, they're cheating all over. Don't get me wrong. They're cheating all over here. They certainly are. Well, some of you are going to end up paying a much higher price than others because you won't even see it coming. Telltale signs. Social media is a very good thing to take a look at in that regard there too, fellas, especially if you're dealing with chicks who got a high body count. I don't understand how you could be so gullible, but I suppose some fellas here, a lot of fellas out here are. Fellas, if your woman has social media and a high body count, nigga, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? She got body count, bastard kids, and a social media. And you think this is going to end well? And she lives in one of the cities that you see up here on this list that we've been talking about tonight as being a hotbed where you're going to have issues at? Damn! Fellas, think about this for a few moments. Tony said his wife just discovered TikTok filters. Okay, bro. I don't have a warning alarm to play for you, but I might need to get one. We don't really have to have this conversation that much with the females. We really don't have to do that because it's not really affecting the women like that, because that's the other side of it here. Can we just be honest? Ladies, can we just be honest for just a moment? Can I be honest with you? I promise we can go back to telling lies right after I say this. We can go back to telling lies right after I say this, but before we do that, can I just be brutally frank with you for just a moment? All right. Ladies, we don't really have to talk about you all with cheaters and stuff like that, because especially when you're talking about what you all are talking about here today, can we just keep it real? If you're married, most of y'all are just married to the lames. What? I'm just saying. If the fellas are popping the question today, you getting married to a lame.
Nigga, please.
Just saying. Can we just be real? If you do get somebody to pop the question, he's a lame. Yes. Yeah, this nigga is the fifth or sixth choice. He's just the one that agreed to say so. But if we just gonna be real about it, if y'all do get somebody to pop the question, he's a lame. He's a lame. Little short, weird dude, but he goes to work. I mean, he goes to work and he got some benefits. You finally became hers. He's a nice guy. Fellas, Chris Rock was right. They talk about you like a damn pet. This is why I don't have to talk to the women about the cheating thing. Fellas, you know you in damn trouble when your woman's sitting up here trying to make it look nice. She's talking about you like a damn pet. She's talking about you like she does a little poodle dog. Oh, look at him. He's nice and scruffy and I wash his clothes for him. He goes to work. And he's got some benefits, and he goes to work, and I know I'm his best. He's faithful. She doesn't say anything swagalicious about you, because the swag factor is not. She doesn't talk about you being admired. The admiration factor is non-existent. She doesn't talk about anything significant you've done, because there's nothing significant. The most significant thing you do is, he pays rent. She talks about you like, he's nice and he's charitable here, and he walks the little ladies at the church, and he's a little short, but that's okay. He's my little teddy bear. She talks about you like a damn 5-year-old in the passenger seat. Fellas don't even notice it. Am I messing up some marriages tonight? All right. You can turn it off and come back to me about 20 minutes here, but am I messing up some marriages here tonight? Because there's going to be some fellas going to get out a tape measure and start measuring their height, and then it's like, wait a minute, have I heard any of these phrases before? Have I heard any of these phrases before? In the chat room, Hunter, no sexual compliments. Now that's a big one. Hunter, that's a big one. I see you done been through the ringer. And Hunter's like, yeah, and no sexual compliments. All right, Hunter, all right. He's unloading his soul right now. You found the place for that, brother. You found the place. He's like, I need to get this off my soul. Please, you're in the right place. Absolutely. That's a big one right there, though. There's a big one. There's a big one. Because you cannot fake passion. And you recognize that when the fella she wants to cheat on you with, she got passion for him. It's like, oh, hell, I didn't get that response. I didn't get that response. I didn't get that one. That means something. That means something. So fellas, by the way, when they're talking about you like you're the little pet, Okay. They're talking about you like the little pet. They're talking about you like the little poodle. Everything is very cute and antiseptic. Everything is transactional. You know, everything is like they're putting together a photo album. And here's the biggest thing of all. Single biggest thing. I'm about to break up a lot of relationships right now. Single biggest thing. Fellas, when was the last time that she openly, publicly spoke about what it is that she is investing in you?
What?
Yeah, put all that bullcrap to the side. She talks about the benefits she gets and the rewards that she gets. I get that. When was the last time that she spoke about what she was sacrificing and investing in you? There's a big one. Okay, now let me spin that block on you right quick. Let me spin that block on you. You know the fella that she complains about, the ex that she complained about? Do you realize that all she talked about was what she did for him?
Damn!
Did you notice that? She talked about what she gave up of herself, what she put on the line, what she invested, what she went in debt over. She talks about what she sacrificed and invested in him. Notice she doesn't have the same stories about you. Some of you fellas might be well served to start asking that question. You might be well served to find that out. In the chat room, 7, you'd be a damn fool not to talk to them about that. So let me just explain something right here. Fellas, understand, Simone, there's something for you to learn, ma'am. A man is stupid if he doesn't talk to a woman about her exes. You need to find out exactly how she talks about the men that she's previously chosen. The past is the best indicator of the future. When a woman wants to conceal where she's been, bruh, that ain't gonna end well. She wants to conceal where she's been. That's not a positive sign. That's not a plus. That's not a flex. No, you need to turn over all the stones. You need to find out everything. She starts sealing off parts of her past and she doesn't want to talk about that. Oh, hell no. You wouldn't go to work for a company that wouldn't tell you about their previous employees. You wouldn't go to a doctor you couldn't find out about previous patients. You wouldn't go to a car mechanic you couldn't find out about their track record of fixing things. You got somebody laying in bed next to you and they don't want to talk about anywhere they've been? What? Really? That ain't a flex? That's not a plus? If you're in a relationship with somebody, yeah, you need to know what the hell they think about that. There's not supposed to be any locked doors. Yeah, you need to find out what her disposition is about that dude. About all them dudes. See, this is how fellas be sitting up with straight hoes and she got a body count out of this damn world and he's blissfully oblivious. Terrell, is she guilty dogs is barking or walking, I guess. Guilty dogs are walking. I'm not doing nothing but reporting the news. No, fellas, if you were the chick and she doesn't say anything about her exes, what is she hiding? So she just doesn't have a past? Especially if she comes from another city.
Auntie, chill.
You see, when men move from one city to another, let's stop the nonsense. When men move from one city to another, We're moving for economic reasons. When women relocate from one city to another, she moving for social reasons. Women want to stay near their family. They want to stay near their mothers. They want to stay near their grandmothers. They want to stay near where they from. Women don't just get up and run around for financial reasons like that. Men do. If a woman is getting up and running around, she's not moving for money. She's trying to get away from somebody. She's not coming. It's a better situation. Yeah, because you're ruined what the hell you had back where you were. Either all the dudes done slept with you and you need a place where nobody knows your body count, or one of them fellas is on your ass. So it's one or the other. No, fellas, this is mandatory information. You need to know what she thinks, how she responds, what her commentary is about the men she's been with. You need to know her commentary. That's not arbitrary. That is not optional. That's mandatory. You must know. You must know. How else can you tell whether or not things start sounding similar? How else can you tell if something's not right? She starts talking about an ex and something ain't matching up with what you know from your life experience, how things are supposed to go. It's like, that's not sounding right. That's not sounding right at all. How are you going to keep yourself from getting taken by surprise? Here's the real issue. Women are going to tell you the reason that's wrong with them if you sit there and listen. If she's figured out, yeah, I need to stop talking so much, it's like, oh, okay, well, she's about to let you know what in the world's going on here. So I'm showing you all that the landscape is changing. The landscape is changing. A lot of you fellas are getting suckered in. You're getting suckered by little sweet words. They can see that you are emotionally hobbled. A lot of you fellas think you got it going on, and fellas, you don't. And ladies, I don't have to talk to you about the cheating thing, because let's just keep it real. Y'all, if most of y'all are with a lame today, if the fella is willing to sit up here and go all in with you and whatnot, I mean, hey, I just gotta tell it like it is. The guys who are most desirable ain't committing, and the guys who are committing are not the most desirable. Anybody telling you otherwise is like, ma'am, please, that's just the best guy you could get. Stop the cap.
Nigga, please.
I'm just telling the truth. You take a look at the men that these women get passionate over, that their motor revs over, that these women start dancing and doing that little thing in the chair where they snapping their fingers and crooking their neck. You take a look at the guys they do that over, and then nigga, look at you. She ain't never snapped her fingers or anything like that for you. Come on now, she ain't never gave you that Michael B. Jordan treatment. You ain't never got that Idris Elba treatment. You ain't never got that. That is not happening for you. You paying bills, you paying rent, you getting stretched out, and you're not getting that response. Come on now. Need I remind you, fellas, there's a reason why a woman biologically is going to go for tall, dark, and handsome. She wants tall because she wants a fella who can make her feel like a girl. If you're shorter than she is, she doesn't feel small and dainty. Damn! Come on, fellas. If you 5'4" and she's 5'6", we got a problem. She knows you can't pick her up. She's not even guessing. Like, what the hell is the point of marrying you? You can't carry her across the threshold unless you start powerlifting training with Eddie Hall or somebody. And so, this little nigga can't pick her up. She's going to spend the rest of her life walking side by side with you holding hands. Her feet ain't never going to leave the ground unless she slips and falls. I'm just saying. Every woman in here right now is feeling every word I'm saying. All the females in here, Bonita Negra, Seven, Claudette, all of them, they all feeling every word I'm saying. Every female in here wants her feet to leave the damn ground. She wants to know she with that strong man who can pick her up, and Mr. 5'4" might have a wonderful personality, but there ain't no way on this side of Southwest hell he's going to be able to pick her up unless she's 4'9". And that's it. It is what it is. So, fellas, if she with you and y'all are not at least meeting eyeball to eyeball, it's like, just understand that is a female settling. That is a female settling because she already knows what she gonna have to give up. She's gonna have to. Somebody said, "Let's do this." Rey Mysterio. It's okay. Rey ain't picking up nobody. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm trying to find I'm just now thinking, have I ever seen Rey Mysterio body slam anybody? I'm thinking about that right. Have there ever been a video of Rey Mysterio body slamming anyone? Anywhere? I'm so glad you mentioned him. We're going to go back to the archive. Has Rey ever body slammed it? Has he ever picked another nigga up and threw him? All right. Ryan talking about Rey picked up Big Show. That must be in the video game. In any case, he picked up Big Show with a forklift, I guess. But fellas, just understand, those things matter. They're going to lie to you. They're not going to tell you the truth. The stats are devastating out here. The stats are devastating out here. And it's in a city near you. It's no longer a big city thing. It's everywhere. You in the Midwest, you in the Deep South, you in the Rust Belt, you're in the Sun Belt, you're in a sleepy town, you're in a mid-sized town. It is the same thing everywhere. Everywhere. And now I'm showing you that there's the socioeconomic component on top of it. I didn't tell you you're going to be able to avoid it. I'm not lying to you about that. I'm just here to give you the stats that are necessary so that you can recognize it when you see it. And if you're listening to tonight's program, you're probably hearing that for yourself. And all I can tell you is, bro, enjoy the ride till she served them papers on you. What? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not here to lie to you and tell you can avoid execution. I'm just telling you, you know what you got into, and just enjoy the ride till the process servers show up. Just enjoy it till old boy get there. Because she going to tell you everything is great and everything's fine right up until the man come and throw them papers in your lap. So right up until then, everything's going to be good. That's the most I can give you. What the hell you looking for? Jason, what's the answer to it? Did you commit? Well, yes. Well, you got kids? Well, yeah. Okay, well, just strap your ass in for the ride. It's just going to be what it's going to be. Yeah, you thought that this was a New York problem or a Miami problem? No, it's a you problem. It's a you problem. However, you might disagree. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Zoom tonight. As you all know, I'm going to be moving away from taking telephone calls over Blog Talk. It's just become unusable. It used to be very, very reliable. It used to be very good. It has become unusable over there. And what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be taking phone calls over Zoom. So let me go ahead and get the link up for you all here. I'm going to turn on Blog Talk here shortly, but I'm just letting y'all know, really going forward, I'm really going to be using Zoom pretty much for the most part here to take phone calls going in the future, because I haven't had a bunch of issues with that, and the spotty service and everything on Blog Talk has just become unusable at this point. So let me go ahead and throw the link for the Zoom up here in the chat room. I'm going to go ahead and turn Blog Talk on and hope maybe it'll work out, but just letting you all know going forward, we're phasing that out. In the meantime, though, the telephone number is up there. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Telephone number 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. This is The Biz. Also, the Zoom is up there as well. You have that available to you also. I want to talk to some of the fellas here tonight. I want to talk to some of the fellas here who've got married. I want to talk to some of y'all, and can you be honest for a minute and give folks your honest assessment? Can you be honest about what's happened to you? Can you? I know it's tough. Some of y'all got the battle axe sitting right there next to you. You sitting around like old Leon from a few weeks ago here, and you worried and you scared. I get it. But there may be a few brave souls who want to call and give their accounting of what's going on here. Fellas, if you live in one of these cities, have you noticed some strange behavior from your woman or her girlfriends? Have you noticed that you thought that maybe you were safe because you weren't in Atlanta or Miami, and you kind of finally figured out, oh, wait a minute, it's actually not safe where I'm at. I'm actually in the belly of the beast. A bunch of you in these so-called working class cities, and these aren't big cities like that. They get a whole lot of shine and a whole lot of news attention, and yet you're in the crosshairs for the same thing. Have you considered that? Now, there are going to be some guys who are going to tell me that that's not the case. And by the way, they can give me a call up as well. They can go ahead and give me a call up as well and tell us all if we're wrong about that. Are we off base about those numbers? Are we off base about the geography of it? Are we off base about the social media component? Are we really off base about that? And this is going to be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of fellas here, because they're going to tell themselves, it's not really that serious. No, it's never really that serious. It's never that serious until they get their phone call. Nobody ever considers it that serious until they get their phone call, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, I didn't know that was coming right there. I usually get that fella to call me up every week, assuring me everything's all right. Jason, no, you went down just the way you told me. Let me go ahead and get over here on Blog Talk. Let me get caller from area code 937. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Jamal from Dayton, Ohio.
All right, Jamal from Dayton, Ohio. Oh boy, the other city. You all didn't make the list this time, but maybe you'll get lucky. You're the only other one left. What's on your mind?
Hey, it's ironic you saying that, because I'm about to be in Columbus tomorrow. And
to cheat, or to be? Well, are you going to Columbus to cheat or to be cheated on?
No, man, I ain't with none of them.
Oh, okay. All right, well, proceed.
So, man, I'm single with no kids, man. Like your broadcast said once before, hey, you're winning. You know, so I strategically don't put myself in a situation to where I have any long-term attachments. But it's ironic you brought that list up, because a couple months ago, I was dealing with a chick, and she from Columbus, but like you said, wiped the social media page and everything. So when you go on her social media, all you just see is this pictures of her, and all that. So, I remember that whole ask questions. You've been saying that for a while. So, at that time, I was dealing with her asking questions. So, it come up. I asked her, like, hey, you ever been married? She told me no, right? But it was like the reaction from it was like, I can't really believe that, right? So I do my research, mess around and find out she married and everything. I typed in her name and marriage certificate, So then I end up confronting her about it. So when I confronted her about it, this woman had the nerve to tell me I didn't know when the right time to tell you. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, that should have been one of the earliest things you told me. But it always was in my mind, like, you got to watch out for a calculated female.
Well, okay, let me explain to you the reason why that happened. First of all, what was the age difference between the two of you?
We used the same age.
Okay, did she have any children?
Yeah, she had one kid, but It wasn't from her husband.
Right. So like I say, there are usually little signs that tell you. Females who get out, understand something. When ladies, I gotta read the mail right quick. We'll get back to the fellas in a moment. I gotta read the mail for the women right quick. When you're dealing with single moms in particular, remember, they're predatory. So their mentality is, I got to get you before you get me. So she doesn't see any problem with lying to you because as far as she's concerned, I got to get you before you get me. And what they're looking for is they're actually looking for somebody who's just as dirty as they are. The problem is she found somebody who wasn't as dirty as she is. So you actually had some principles about you. So you didn't respond the way that she would have responded if she were in your position. And so when you did ask the question, you caused one of those Freudian conflicts. For those of you who don't know, the problem with lying, and I've explained this to you all before, but let me reiterate it again. The problem with a person lying is that lying is contrary to survival. You can't survive if you're a person who believes your own lies. The brain knows there's an objective reality. If we deny objective reality, we're going to die. You can't lie your way out of that lion around the corner. You can't lie your way out of that forest fire you're walking into. You can't lie your way out of that river you can't swim in. So lying is actually a threat to your survival. You can literally hook up nose to people's heads and see how their brainwaves do. When they start lying, you can literally see changes. So lying is going to immediately cause a conflict. And when you ask that question, especially she was off guard for it, that's why you got suspicious, because she didn't respond the way an honest person would. You could hear conflict in the way she was responding. And when you heard that conflict, you were like, okay, issue, telltale sign. And from there, you didn't believe that. And if that's as far as she's going, you can't believe anything else. Because if you find out she's married, I'm like, okay, so is she, what type of married is she? Separated, married, cheating on her husband, married, Ashley Madison married, get you killed, married? What are we doing?
Yeah, she's separated. But see, I'm going to tell you what's crazy, because she said she was separated for 3 years. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, why you ain't getting no divorce yet? You know, because I'm pushing that as an issue, like, because I already stepped in my mind that, you know, yeah, it's not gonna go no further and everything. But then it was like when you saying the whole sacrifice thing, I'm like, she was saying like, oh, well, it's too expensive, it's this and that. Man, I talked to this chick, I'm gonna say last week. This chick literally told me that she about to go to Miami and get a tummy tuck. When I heard that, I it's like all the attraction that I had for it just went straight out the window, because I'm thinking in my mind, because I didn't, you know, you deal with somebody long enough, you have conversation. I'm like, damn, you went dead, you got all this stuff, and that's what you gonna spend your money on,
brother.
So I'm like, oh, okay. Once I seen that, I already knew everything else that was gonna come down that hill.
How many tattoos did she have?
Like 4 or 5. Brats, cats, and ass, man.
Nigga, please.
And at that time, I was sitting and I was thinking, like, because I was dealing with it, I'm like, why am I dealing with your shit? You married, you got kids. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, yeah, the reward ain't really beneficial in this situation. So I start backing myself up. So it went from like, I used to call her to now I barely call her. So now it's kind of like she keep on trying to hit me up. You know, like she feel the fallback coming.
Yeah, fellas, like I say, I mean, there's some chicks that, you know, there's just too much going on. They just got too much happening. Just nothing in their life is together. Everything's raggedy. Everything's a jalopy. Everything's a fixer-upper. There ain't nothing where it's supposed to be. Except they down to have some sex. Other than that, there isn't any real value to them. And you got to be careful, because they can hang around like leeches. They don't have anything to lose because they don't have anything to gain. She talking about a damn tummy tuck, by the way, which lets me know, okay, we got some other issues there, bro. So hopefully you step your game up going forward. You know, get yourself a little bit elevated so that you don't necessarily have to deal with the dumpster diving, because I didn't even ask where you met her at.
Social media.
Which app?
IG.
You sure it ain't Tinder, Plenty of Fish, or something like that, bro?
Oh, no, I ain't none of that.
Which strip club she dance at?
Oh, no, she want a stripper. Because I tell you, at that time she was a life insurance adjuster and she worked at a rehab center. But then she was more of an alcoholic than
she was a nurse. She was a nurse.
Oh no, she just worked in a recovery house.
What the hell she do? Clean the windows?
Oh no, she was like a counselor. So like she worked like third shift and she just like made sure like they took meds and head count and all that type of stuff.
All right, well that's why she's separated but not divorced, because she wants to find another fella who gonna commit before she lets go of the one she's still on the health benefits for. So obviously she thought she might have had some potential, but fellas, please keep your eyes and ears open. Most of them are flagrant out here, and they have no reason not to lie to you. They're hoping you're just so desperate for sex that you will overlook massive warning signs. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me go ahead and see if I can get caller from area code 860. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. This is Sharp from Los Angeles.
Okay, Sharp from Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
So you said married men should call in. I did take your advice actually from last year. So I actually I actually took your advice, but I kind of read between the lines and took my own actions. But I actually divorced my wife, everything settled and everything this year. Not because she was doing some of the things that you were talking about, but I just realized I'm not really a marriage material type of guy. Not really a long-term relationship type of man. So I just kind of ended things, and she was always checking to see if I was cheating and all the time, and I was like, "Oh, are you talking to another girl? You're talking to another girl?"
Because you are.
Her on my social media. What?
Because you are.
Yeah, I know I was. And I would just wanted the freedom to do that. That's why I divorced her. Like, why bother just going when that's why I know what I want to do? So that's why I ended the relationship. And I've just been happy and smooth sailing ever since. And been with a lot of RNs and shit ever since then.
Well, now you are free to go cheat in peace. Now you're free to go do that without somebody sitting up here nagging you quite as much as they were. So now you have the freedom to go cheat in peace, and hopefully you ain't gonna lie to another chick out there.
Well, I mean, the thing that started that whole off relationship, right? She originally moved from Nepal, and I met her like on I think it was Tinder. That was a dating app back in 2019.
Yep, that's you.
That's why I met her. Yeah. But back then, I met her and everything, and I was just looking for a hookup. I was actually monkey branching from a previous relationship that ended, and I saw her. I was like, oh, this girl looks pretty. I'm going to see what's up. And then something that was just supposed to turn into like a one-night thing or a short thing turned into like a 2-year relationship and a marriage and everything. And
here's the thing I don't understand. Oh, I guess I kind of do understand it. You cats, the bottom line is y'all need to be honest. You just want regular, reliable sexual access. Okay, I get that. But y'all are willing to sit up here and go marry somebody for it when that's all you want's reliable sexual access, so now you're going to go get married? How does that make sense?
It doesn't.
Like, it would be different if a marriage certificate guaranteed you that, but it's like, to you fellas out here, y'all are getting married, and truth be told, you don't really want a wife. You just want reliable sexual access, and you think a marriage certificate is going to give you that. Some of y'all need to go have an honest conversation with these females and find out what exactly is it that you can get from her without marrying her. What is she willing to do for you that doesn't require marriage? And I think a lot of you would sit up here and realize, like, oh, okay, well, that's not really going to work. Men who have options don't get married to get sexual access.
Yeah, I realize that now because I was way back in 2019. I was a lot younger back then.
Way back? All right.
I mean, it feels like it was a long time ago. Especially from the point where I came from. It feels like it was like 8 years ago.
Fellas, if all you want is sexual access, I need y'all to get your confidence together so that you're not wasting your time or a female's time or getting yourself involved with the state when you don't have to. Because if all you want is sexual access, old boy just got off the phone, got sexual access, and don't have to marry nobody. The chick he was talking to was married. But you don't have to do all that. So fellas are out here grossly overpaying because they act like they got options they really don't have.
Well, so about that marriage part as well. So I told you that she's from Nepal. She actually paid me to actually get married with her because she needed her green card.
And you needed the money.
Why I even said yes. Yeah, I took the money and ran.
You know, you didn't take the money. You needed the money.
Yeah, at the time I needed the money because at the time I just got laid off.
At the time, you needed to get an alternator for your car, and the money wasn't right. So she threw you a few dollars, so you can go ahead and get a new alternator, a new starter on your 89 Oldsmobile.
Hey, Jay,
you got it back together, so it's like okay.
The funny thing is, Jason, at the time I didn't even have a car. I had a bicycle, so I didn't even have a car. I needed a car.
Boy, what in the hell's the matter with you?
Y'all hobosexuals out here. The hobosexual game is as raggedy and rampant as I've ever seen it. When I talked about survival sex, those of you here on YouTube, you can go listen to my survival sex program. It's a whole bunch of dudes and a whole bunch of people out here just having straight survival sex. They having sex to pay a bill. They having sex to get a flat tire fixed. This is where we are. I'll let you have the last word.
That means we could do it too.
Man, look here. There's a whole bunch of damn things that females do that we ain't supposed to do. If the females do it, we can do it. The females wear tampons. Can we do that too?
Nigga, please.
No.
What the hell? The women sit up here and shave their legs and paint their toes. Can we do that? We supposed to do that too?
No.
Okay, there's a whole bunch of damn things females do that we're not supposed to even come near. Thank you very much. If the women can do it, why not us? Nigga, really? Folks, speaking of the hobosexuals, I got to detour to tell a story. Got a detour for that right quick. So, I'm on the road right now. I'll talk about it here in probably a week. I'm on the road right now. So, stopped out near the coast. Went to a Walmart. Should have thought about it twice. Didn't do it. It's summertime. Man, there are more honey boo boo built women wearing coochie cutters with they damn tattoos up their thighs and on their backs. It's like an episode of Lock Up Raw female edition, like the inmates released the female inmates from Lock Up Raw edition. It's like I'm talking about they were on tour in this place. I'm like, where the hell I done ended up at? I thought this was supposed to be the beach spot. Where the hell have I ended up at? Who let is there a prison? Is Joe Biden letting them all out of prison before he leaves the White House? Oh, it was unreal. It's been unreal, some of the sights I done seen. But before I even got in the store, I seen them. Came walking out the door. It was this one brother. He's wearing his tank top. He's wearing his blue jean shorts. He's walking all confident like George Jefferson. He's got something looks like, I don't know, a bag of jelly beans or something he's trying to open. And then I saw her walking out with him. Now, this fella looked like he was about 5'6". And he was next to this damn near Gilbert Grape looking chick. She was about 6'1". What? He was like 5'6", she like 6'1". It's like, oh, talk about the odd couple. She was built like a bowling pin. It was weird. And he was strutting. They were walking back out to the parking lot. He was strutting. Oh, he walked out. He was strutting till he saw me. Damn! He looked up. He saw me. And his whole expression changed. He started looking down at his feet all guilty. I'm like, yeah, nigga, you one of them. You one of them. It's like, brother, is it this bad? Is you fresh out the pen? You trying to get back on your feet? Is it this bad? And yes, it was just that bad. Jason, what do you mean? Because you know what's about to happen next. I waited a moment because I need to see what's going to happen when y'all try to get in this car. Because I know what I'm about to see. I just want to make sure I confirm it so I didn't make any false assumptions. And sure enough, they get by this. It's a Nissan Altima. It must be like a 2003. She's walking to the driver's door. He's slithering and shuffling his way around to the passenger's door. So not only is he with this ugly broad, not only does he got to claim her in public, but when they get back to the car, he got to sit in the damn passenger side of his woman's ride trying to holler at somebody. What? Oh, the homosexual game is absolutely despicable at this point. It's raggedy as hell right now, y'all. I've never seen it worse than I've seen it right now. We are in the belly of the beast right here. Imagine having to ride down the street like that, and then think about it for a moment. When they're in the car, if they're coming at you in the opposing lane of traffic, all you see is this little fella. His little old head gonna be the only thing you see over the dashboard, and then you got this big old tall ass WNBA player, out of shape WNBA players driving the car. So she's sitting all the way up here, and you look at the passenger seat. You see this little old Negro looking like her little son with a beard. Talk about emasculating. Fellas, get your mind right, get your grind right so that you can avoid certain situations like this. How do you emotionally recover after an experience like that? Caller Mary Code 770, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is Gary out of Atlanta. One of your day ones. It's been a minute since I called, but I had to call on this topic.
All right, Gary out of Atlanta, what's on your mind?
I had to give you the 411 how I see things moving in Atlanta, and I see it as there's three type of men that the women go after, but two of them they prefer, and that's bosses and bums. If you're the average man, you are going to be hurt because a lot of women are scared of the average man. They're scared to walk with the average man. They're scared to build with the average man. But if you're a bum, they can kick you out. And if you're a boss, they'll shut up as long as you bring in the money to the table. And that's basically Georgia right now. I don't know about the rest of the states, but Georgia is definitely about being a bum or a boss.
Okay, well, let me investigate that a little bit more here. When you say that they don't want you to be that man that they want to build with, they're not trying to build with you. Brother, what do women build?
Yeah. I mean, when I look at the average man, I think they are scared of him because in their mind, they have to build with him. In their mind, they have to take a chance with him. And they don't know what direction he's going to go. But a bum, they know what a bum is. And they know they can kick him out. With a boss, they know what a boss is.
Right, but to address that statement right there, when you say they don't want the average guy because they don't want to have to build with him, I get that. Here's my thing though.
Yeah.
Name a type of man that women do want to build with, and then make sure we're defining what, if we say that there is one they want to build with, let's define exactly what building is. So, okay, they don't want to build with an average guy. Who is the guy they want to build? And tell me any type of man that women want to build with.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. That's true. Maybe they don't want to build with nobody. I don't know, but from my point of view, that's how I see it. I see
bro,
I've
been to Atlanta. I've been to Atlanta many a moon. Women don't build anything, and they're not looking for a man they got to build with, because as far as a woman's concerned, if she is essential to your ability to build and produce, then she's the boss, not you. So there's the trick bag of it. I'm looking for a woman I can build with. Problem: the moment she becomes essential to the building equation, a woman does not see herself as your partner, and men attempting to draft women to make them their partner, that's not a power move, because once the woman does that, she is not going to interpret that as her being your partner. She's going to interpret that as her being the boss. Even if you attempt to objectively argue that you're doing 80% of the work and she only doing 20%, or you're doing 80% of the effort or ideas or whatever, and her contribution is only 20%, she's going to claim that 20% makes her the boss.
Yeah. So from my point of view, and I get what you're totally saying, but from my point of view, seeing that they like the bums, like you said, the homosexuals or the thugs, those will be like the bums, or they like the boss, the man that's in control, like you said. Is the average man scary to them?
No, the average man is struggling. Here's the bottom line. Women are not free to be as honest with men as they need to be, because they know you're not going to like everything you hear. So women understand that they have to resort to a certain amount of deception, because they're not like men. Men don't have to resort to deception, because that'll either get us hurt or killed. Women cannot stand up physically the way men do, so they resort to deception. So what that means is they don't tell you things they think will openly offend you, because that will remove you as an option for them. So if there's something that she wants that she knows or believes is going to be offsetting to you, she's going to conceal that. One of those things is for women not to tell you what they really want and what they really expect out of life. I keep reminding fellas, hey fellas, all of you, ALL, all of you have a dream car. Well, guess what? So does the female you talking to. She's got a dream car too. And when she tells you, I want a G-Wagon, dude, she's not playing. She's not kidding. She really wants that. She really wants it, dead ass, serious as hell. She really wants that. Men tend to just dismiss those statements. They can wrap their heads around handbags or a shoe. It's like, by the way, did you take her serious? Did you hear her when she said that? She's not joking. She isn't kidding. She's not playing. She's dead ass. Now, the only problem is that she's not really willing to put in the amount of work it takes to get it, or the amount of effort and sacrifice it takes to get it. But she's dead serious when she says she wants it. Now, if you dismiss that or ignore it or minimize it and be like, she ain't that serious, or you're taking a look at her level of productivity and saying, well, her level of productivity can't get it, so she doesn't really want it, you're playing a game on yourself. You live in Atlanta. Females are not joking when they say that. They really want that 1%er type life. They really want those types of benefits. They really serious, even if they don't qualify for it, even if she's not really worthy of it, she still wants it. I mean, she seriously wants it. Just as much as you want a chick with triple D cups, she wants that. I mean, you're not kidding when you say that. You are not joking when you say that. Actually, them triple Ds would be nice. You're not joking. You might be smiling. You might be laughing, but you're not joking. Well, fellas, the women are the same way. And she may not, if she doesn't think that you can actually do that, but you're the only option she really has, if she doesn't want to be alone, that's where you get confused. The average guy is struggling. The average guy doesn't aspire, because at this point right now, Atlanta is really a 7-figure city. But what do you do if you're a female and most of the guys have 5-figure aspirations? Not even 6. So let me get this straight. To have what she really wants requires a man at least in the mid to high 6 figures, 500,000 a year or more. But the average guy is making 50,000 a year, 10% of that. Do you realize what a chasm that is?
Yeah, I totally agree, because when you look at some of these Atlanta females, they're definitely playing with all three type of guys from what I see, and it's kind of like that saying I heard, well, if you can't have one, have three, and I see a lot of that in Atlanta.
Well, and just remember, I mean, when you talk about the three, the females who take a bum, like I say, those are chicks got to get in where they fit in. Those are females who don't have options. So they don't qualify for a man who's going to financially extend himself or sacrifice or excel socially. She got to take the little bummy dude who will cater to her emotionally and pander to her emotionally. Because a man who's got his act together doesn't have to kiss a woman's ass and doesn't have to pander to her. A bum does. A man who got his act together doesn't. So there's only a certain type of female who's going to tolerate Mr. Bum, and that's what she aspires to. All right. All of them, including the chicks who take Mr. Bum, they all want Mr. Builder. But Mr. Builder comes with a cost. He comes with a price.
Correct.
It's going to cost you something.
Agree.
The average guy, his proximity to Bum is much closer than his proximity to Builder. So you have three types of men in this world: the bum, the basic, and the builder. And that's it.
Yeah.
And are they all the women are trying to get with the builder, and he's got options. So Mr. Average, that's really where most women qualify, but the problem is they don't aspire to Mr. Average. Yeah, that's what she qualifies for, but that's not what she aspires to.
Well, Jason, I got another question before I get off. So with the builder or the boss, what is scary about him to these women?
He can say no. He has options that are usually better than her. He is number one, he is in demand. That's a totally different dynamic. The average guy is not in demand. He can make some moves, and he can push a couple of buttons, make some things happen on his best day. But the bottom line is the women are not coming to him. He still has to get out there and make something happen. But what's not happening is the women naturally gravitating and coming to him. To a builder, he's in demand. The women are coming to him. They dropping hints. They dropping notes. The action is coming to him because he is where the action is. Let me say that again. When you're a builder, the action comes to you because you are where the action is. The average guy, he works for the builders. He's not where the action is. So, number one, you are the guy. Well, let me go. Just hold that thought. Don't forget. But to answer your question, number one, he's in demand. Number two, he has options, which means he can say no. And number three, there's no doubt in his mind that he could replace you. Or more importantly, he doesn't need you. So number one, he's in demand. Number two, he can say no. And number three, he doesn't actually need you because his work is his woman. What he's building is his woman. That's the most important thing to him. He's got bigger things in his life he's doing. You're not the biggest thing he's doing. What he's doing with his life is the biggest thing. And you are a complement to that, but you're not a necessity of it. That's the reason that women love that. They want a man who's got something of his own, including his own life.
Wow, you just opened my mind to a lot. But that goes back to your broadcast, 3 weeks ago with the Chris Brown. So that's why women are paying $1,100 to be around Chris Brown. It's just the energy, the building, the productivity, and a lot of guys are like, wow, what, y'all paid $1,100 for this guy, but you ain't paid your rent, and I told you just totally opened my mind with that.
Let me go ahead and give you the next dimension of the Chris Brown thing. The next dimension of the Chris Brown thing is, please keep in mind, Chris is real. I don't mean from a personality standpoint. That's not what I mean. I mean that Chris is really living that life. Chris is really doing that. He's not faking these things. He really lives that life. He's really got those options. He's really in that position. He's really got that. It really is there. It's one thing for a woman to respond to a guy who has the potential to get there. It's a far different experience when you are standing next to the dude who actually is there. because you approving of him or not approving of him ain't going to change a damn thing. You're standing in the shadow of the real thing. Now you're going to get a markedly different response.
Wow. Jason, excellent, Jason, as always. I just want to say, brother, I've been a day one. It's been a minute, but I've seen it grow from 30 people in here now to 1,000, and I'm proud of you. And keep on keeping on, brother. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Authenticity is a very, very valuable thing. When you've got abilities that cannot be faked, very, very valuable. Very, very valuable. The average male is struggling. I've taught you all this for years. It's the truth. It is axiomatic. Look it up. It's undeniable. It's empirical. The average male, it has nothing to do with how polite you are. Listen to me, fellas. You can get offended all you want to. It has nothing to do with how polite you are. It has nothing to do with whether or not you are a law-abiding citizen. It's got nothing to do with whether or not you help little old ladies across the street or whether you fix your mom's plumbing. It has nothing to do with that. You all have never, this is where women lied to men. Ladies, I gotta read y'all's mail right quick because y'all know y'all flagrant and bogus. Ladies, none of y'all have ever gone to social media and posted, boy, I knew I was attracted to him when I saw him fixing somebody's plumbing over there.
Nigga, please.
There's not a single female listening right now who's talking about, girl, I started getting hot for him when I saw him helping little old ladies with their bags at Walmart. Yeah, that was that tall, dark, handsome dude over there. But you see that, the little 5'6" fella over there? Baby, look here. He was helping show this little old lady directions to get to Home Depot. I was saying, I got to get his number. That ain't happening. You ain't looked on nobody's social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, nothing else, and saw a chick put that post up. That ain't happening. These chicks will have you believe that has any sort of weight or relevance with them whatsoever, and you ain't never heard them talk. The only fella who she got hot for, that he did that for, the only time that fella doing that made a woman hot was when he did it for her. If she was moving her washing machine. Other than that, you ain't never heard a female go to social media. You know, I didn't start lusting for my man. I just knew. The first time we slept together was after I saw him help greeting the little old ladies at Walmart when they came in the door. Yeah, ma'am. You can find the butter over there on aisle A7. Girl, he was so polite and so helpful. I almost bumped into somebody else in my shopping cart after I saw him do that. Has said no female in the history of femaleness. So just in case you think I'm just being cynical, by the way, go up and down your timeline. You've never heard a female describe that as something that she was physically and sexually attracted to. So fellas, it's nice if you're a law-abiding citizen. It's very, very useful. Women don't really care about that. That's not real, except to the extent that it might affect her. But other than that, they just say that for your benefit and for your consumption. She's adding up your ability to produce, your ability to out-compete other men, and how much it benefits her personally. But breaking your arm, patting yourself on the back for all the accolades that mattered when you were in elementary school. Oh, you're nice and polite, and you can add up these numbers here, and oh, you're a law-abiding citizen. Though that was accolades your teacher gave you. That made you a good, non-disruptive student in class. But telling yourself that that has currency out here in the real world, it doesn't. Not the way you think. Like it or lump it. Call from area code 708. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Sean calling out of Lawndale, Illinois.
Nice, Sean. What is on your mind?
So I agree with the article with Ashley Madison saying that something going on in the Midwest, and then you highlighted all the other states that the people cheating. I agree, because now it's more prevalent that people in a relationship or married is definitely not taking their relationship seriously. They be sneak cheating, really. Like if you look and go into Walmart, you'll see a whole family, and then you see the woman out there exposing her breast. I mean, that's a form of cheating right there, like attracting other opposite sex by doing that. And then the men that get online and they have these joggers on, like the shorts or whatever. Then they be trying to expose, they dental print, if that's what you're going to call it. I ain't going to say the other word. But, yeah, it's a lot of sneak cheating going on. And if you look, the women, I'm going to highlight the women, especially on social media, that's in marriages and the relationships. They'll hop online with promiscuous things like, chokers, you know what that is. It's a lot of sexual intention going on with that, and they are exposed their lifestyle, and it's not predominantly just for women. It's for men, too, because men definitely jump on that and holler at the ladies. So I think a lot of these people not taking their relationship seriously at all. You really have to look at the quality of these people and what's going on when they start to cheat. You don't see a lot of business women. It's a lot of teaching going on with some, but when you get to, the playing online, they basically cooking, eating, going to Walmart. The man not involved in the social media content like a married couple should be. It's just a lot of sneak cheating going on. So that's how I feel about that. It's definitely something going on though in the world.
Well, the Midwest is certainly doing its thing now, and I think people just really discounted that and just saw that as a coastal thing or a glamorous cities thing, and it's not. It's the norm now. People are just finally acknowledging the simple reality in front of them. I guess it's just gotten so pervasive and so overwhelming that they just can't ignore it anymore. Ain't that right, Sean?
Let me add one more thing. Yeah, that is correct. Let me add one more thing. As far as people, the social media influencers that's supposed to be married and they trying to do this content, they're not doing that as a family. If they doing any family activities, it's basically at a park. That doesn't show any kind of problem solving, or it's not real.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's just not real.
Here's the real problem with social media. I was watching a video earlier today about LaToya Luckett. This woman's got married, 3 times, and they had kids and gotten divorced, and now she's just got married again. And she was on Tamron Hall, because this is where all the females go to lie now. They don't even have a real chick to talk to like Oprah. They got to go sit on Tamron. And she's sitting up there talking about, I have never been so happy. I have true peace. I'm like, if a person has true peace, they don't say they got true peace. I mean, that's literally not what you do. If you have true peace, you don't have to say it. If you have to say it, that's not what people with true peace do. That's like somebody who's not hungry. A person who's not hungry. By the way, I am not hungry. I am not hungry at all. I'm not thirsty either. Okay, people who are not hungry and not thirsty don't announce it. That's not the thing that they announce. If they feel good, they talk about something else. So if you're announcing that you, quote, found true peace, you're just saying that for appearances, and it's so damn phony. So the attorney James Sexton that everybody's been talking about for the last year because his interviews went viral, divorce attorney James Sexton, he said that the real thing about social media as a divorce attorney is what he found is that he said, I know how you all feel that, you're looking at your life and everybody else's, and it seems like everybody else's life is a highlight reel and your life is a gag reel. And social media is where you go for most people to pretend that their life is a highlight reel. and not a gag reel. So they will just say anything because they're not going to be held accountable for it, at least not in the near future. Not unless they really go out of their way to boost themselves. So the bottom line is, that's what James said. He said that most of the people, he said that everybody who's ever walked in his law practice, he said, you took a look at their social media, it was all couples smiling and going on vacation and giving their vows right up until the day. He said, right up until the day they walked into my office. You took a look at their social media from the previous week, the previous couple of days, and they were sitting there smiling with their husband, walked in his office, I want a divorce. So social media is the biggest charade and con game. People do it. For the men, they fake about having money. For the females, they fake about having love. What? Let me say it again. Folks, on social media, here are the two deceptions going on. For the men lie about having money, and men lie about being rich, and women lie about being loved. Damn! Those are the two things you're going to see. When the men go online, they try to make people think they got a bunch of money. When the women go online, they try to make you believe they got a bunch of love from somebody. And if it's not self-evident, there's your first clue it's not real. I'll let you have the last word.
Let me say something, sir. Thank you. Why come when this is going on, I wonder why these men that's in marriages, why they not telling the women, it's really not, it's not appropriate to go out with exposing yourself like that. I mean, I would find that to be respectful in a marriage like that. It's not like, you can't tell women how to dress. But I mean, it's really about most married
women are not doing that to begin with. So most married women are not doing that because they can't do it. That's the first thing. So married men don't have any real say in that regard with married women because their wives aren't doing it. The wives are doing something else. It's the single chicks who have no options. They're the ones who have to really fly a really big flag and be really flagrant because while they're carpet bombing, all the men who see them see it, but they're really only putting that flag out there for one. And when you only have one thing to offer, you really got to wave that banner as hard and as high as you can. So that's the reason for that. They're looking to elicit a response, but they're actually looking for, even though they're carpet bombing by showing their wares to everybody, they're really holding out for a specific candidate to respond.
What about Cardi B, Cash Dow?
She got the specific response she wanted. First of all, Cardi B is ratchet. Second of all, she's an entertainer. So if y'all want to know what Cardi B is really about, take a look at that Amazon. I want to say it was Amazon commercial she did. Didn't she do a commercial for Amazon? And she was just as nice and polite and congenial. She wasn't doing that damn Cardi B ratchet mess she was doing when them white folk paid her. When she talked to Bernie Sanders. So please understand the difference between her when she's trying to be entertaining. She knows what the hell she's doing, and she knows how to stop doing it. So even if she prefers to act that way, she knows how to act like she got some sense when she wants to. The real thing is, the problem is Cardi B, she's got the ability. She chose a guy who indulged. Look, the bottom line, I'm not having a broken train of thought. I want to phrase this in a concise manner that doesn't confuse you all because I know what I'm talking about here. I just want you all to be equally as organized about this. Cardi B chose somebody who would indulge her darker instincts. So that low-level energy that she brings, she chose somebody who would indulge that. But in reality, what she really wants is a man she can respect, and the man she will respect will not tolerate that. So she's really looking for a guy to tell her to knock it off. But here's the problem. He would have to be a guy who's a boss, a guy who is respected. Remember what I told you all, Cardi B makes more money than Offset, but he's more respected than she is. He's more admired than she is. So she's looking for a guy who's got the social status of Offset, but who is finally going to tell her to knock that mess off and put her in her place so she can look up to him. That's the component that's missing. Well, Jason, why is it missing? Because men who are bosses don't marry women like Cardi B. Damn! The man she's looking for, the man she truly is looking for so she can submit to him, men like that don't marry women like her. We don't marry women like her. We sleep with women like her. We don't marry women like her. And that's what she's really looking for. She's looking for the guy who's going to do that. And no, you're not a candidate for the men you really want. So now she's with Offset, and Offset's way of dealing with her is when she upsets him, he just goes sleep with another broad. Even if you're married to him, even if you got kids with him. That's how he deals with your foolery. He goes and sleeps with another chick. He's not there to straighten you out. You stress him, he just go lay with another broad. And don't care if he gets seen or not. So the man she really wants, who's not going to do all that, but he ain't going to marry her either. That's the reason.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Take a look at Jennifer Lopez, y'all. The man that Jennifer Lopez really wanted was Alex Rodriguez. She wanted A-Rod. Tall, photogenic, well-respected, legendary. Everywhere he goes, the females swoon and the men look on approvingly. She wanted that dude right there. Articulate, top of his field, one of the all-time greats, because she sees herself as one of the all-time greats, whether she is not is irrelevant. That's the guy she really wanted, was A-Rod. He's Latino. That's the guy she really wanted. Mark Anthony, you too short. You're not respected enough. A-Rod, that's the glamorous guy. That's the one I need to be with. And A-Rod was like, yeah, guys like me don't marry chicks like you. We don't marry chicks like you. You've been with Diddy and every damn body else. We don't marry chicks like you. You're not in bad shape, but you're way past your prime. And your street rep ain't nothing to write on. We don't marry chicks like you. We don't marry chicks like you. You want guys like us. We don't marry chicks like you. And now Ben Affleck is running for the damn hills. By the way, did I call it or did I call it? Call from America 716. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, how you doing? Ray out of Buffalo, New York.
All right, Ray out of Buffalo. Great, well, y'all are on the list too, as a matter of fact. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I see. Great broadcast. I had to call in, a long time listener. But you know, I was listening to a couple of your other broadcasts. You said something, and this hits right on topic. One of the things that you did mention about is how you have these women, they're married or in relationships, and they still talking about getting tummy tucks. And then the next thing was especially dealing with the modern woman, what is the best way to crap test these women in this new generation?
Well, I've explained that to you all about there before, but I'm glad to have an opportunity to reiterate on that. Number one thing that you all need to look for is, does she sacrifice for you? You fellas tend to be one-dimensional. You go after just one thing. When I'm saying that's not the way that works. If a female is not investing in you, that's your first clue. There's a problem. However, I will also say that mostly men today don't give them anything to invest in. Now, Buffalo is a more working class part of New York State. You know, it's got a bit of a different rep in that regard. But the bottom line is you're really looking to give them something to invest in. And the average guy doesn't actually have a program big enough that a woman can invest in. This is particularly troublesome when you live in a place that has proximity to New York City. You're talking about the financial hub and the financial capital of the world. That's where your competition is. You got to look at the ceiling, not the floor. So if you're looking around you at other average guys, or God forbid down at guys who are below even where your level is, please remember your female has access to the financial district. She's got access to the Lower East Side. She's got access to Times Square. She's got access to Manhattan. She's got access to all that. And that's your competition, whether you think it is or whether you think it isn't, because she is at least fantasizing that one of them guys is going to get desperate enough and call her off the bench. So number one thing is you have to have something. If she's not sacrificing for you, doesn't sacrifice anything, that's your first clue. Yeah, there's not going to be an investment here. So as far as crap testing them, you can't do that unless you have something that they really want. The thing I noticed the guys have most, the number one thing that fellas are missing today is ambition. And that doesn't cost a dime. To say that you're going somewhere, most men aren't going anywhere. And I'm not talking about just young men. I'm talking about cats in their 40s and 50s and 60s. They're not going anywhere. They don't have a vision of where they're going to go. So all you've communicated to a female is that her tomorrow is going to look just like her today. Well, she can do that without you. She doesn't have to sit here and throw them legs open for you to have the same tomorrow she's going to have. So just understand it's not a very appealing deal. Fellas don't make it clear that they're taking some new horizons and doing some different things. There's a reason why females can at least fall for a photographer. Photographers, by definition, must go to different places and must go see different things. At least he can go look at them. The average guy isn't trying to put in any work to go somewhere new or different. He goes home, he goes to work and then go home. They talk like they're grandfathers. Well, that worked for your granddaddy. Your granddaddy didn't have Times Square. Your granddaddy didn't have the financial district. Your granddaddy didn't have the World Trade Tower. Your granddaddy didn't have that. You're in the 21st century, and too many males are responding the way their grandfathers would. The women today don't want your grandfather's life. I don't care how simple you think she is. She does not want your grandfather's life. So with that understanding, you got to be a guy who's going somewhere new, going somewhere different, that your tomorrow is going to be different than your today. If you don't have that, you don't have anything with which to test her, because she knows there will be no reward for being tested. The bottom line is that a woman passes the test when she begins competing for you. So if she's sacrificing, she's putting up with stuff, this, that, and the other, she's competing. She's trying to show you, I'm willing to tolerate what these other women won't. She's not going to do that because she's bored. She's going to do that because you have something that's valuable enough to tolerate that for. So understand what you really have to do first. It doesn't begin with her. It begins with you. Are you living a life that is or will be admired? Or are you just all potential and no productivity? And you must look around you. If you live in Chicago, you got to look around you. If you're in Chicago, you got to look at the Magnificent Mile, not the South Side. That's going to determine your productivity and your competitiveness as a man in Chicago. Not the South Side, Magnificent Mile. And pretty soon, Lincoln Yards. That's going to determine your productivity. That's going to determine your competitiveness. And that's going to determine how many crap tests you can throw out. Unless, of course, you want some little raggedy broad who just doesn't have anything or whatnot, in which case that's a dime a dozen. Shouldn't be hard. But a female who's about something, you got to be the bag and be the dude in order to test anybody. You can't just do that because, well, I'm a male and doesn't she want some companionship? It doesn't work that way. So it starts with you.
Got you. Well, I appreciate it, Jay, and I'm not going to hold you, but I've been meaning to ask you that because I heard you, and I think I might have missed one of your broadcasts where you described that. But I do appreciate you breaking that down, brother. Like I said, B1.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I want to elaborate on that a little bit more, actually. Because to the fellas here, please understand, it's not about being Jay-Z or filthy rich, but then again, that's a cop-out for most males. The bar is not high today. It really, really isn't. The bar is not high, but the bottom line is most males are aimless. They're not actually going anywhere. And I've explained this before. There's a little bit of an artifact of our times. You know, every square inch of the globe has been mapped out. There are not a lot of new adventures. You need to be a man who's making adventures. Fellas, you need to be interesting. The average guy is struggling. But one more thing. The average guy is boring. What? But it's true. Fellas, the average guy is struggling financially. He's also struggling socially. And he's also struggling personally. He's boring. His conversation is boring. His thoughts are boring. His daily routine is boring. He's not going anywhere. He's not doing anything. It's just Groundhog's Day. Many of you don't understand that. So you want to try to run down the dope boys and the athletes and whatnot. These guys are doing something. It's not the same boring thing all the time. You're living day in and day out. You're not picking up anything about the world. You're not learning anything more. You're not becoming a more interesting person. That doesn't cost millions of dollars. Let me explain something to you all right now, because I am on the road right now. But let me explain something to you all right now. Understand something. I go to all these major cities. I go to these major places. I take a look at these picturesque places here, these resorts and resort towns and things like that. I go from one place to another all over the planet about this. And I got to tell you, in New York City, most of you males, and I'm talking about 99% of the males in New York City, have not seen their own city. Most of the males in New York City have not been to the top of the Empire State Building. Most of the males in New York City have not been to the observation deck at the World Trade Tower. Most males in New York City have not been to Hudson Yards. Most of the males in New York City have not been to the old Trump hotel there. It's now the Dominic. Please stay away from it. It's gone to hell. But it's true. I'm serious. It's true. Most of the males in New York City don't know a damn thing about their city. They can tell you about this subway or that subway, but they haven't actually seen any part of it. They haven't actually seen it. Think about that for a few moments. They've lived in New York their whole lives, but in reality, I can tell them a whole bunch of parts of New York that they've never been to and never seen. And I just visit. Same story in Los Angeles. Same story in Los Angeles, by the way. The majority of males in Los Angeles have not seen Los Angeles. They haven't seen it. They haven't seen it. They've lived in the city and ain't seen a damn thing. Not a thing. Now you think about that. Think about that for a few moments. They've lived in Los Angeles their whole lives and haven't seen the Casa del Mar Hotel. I'm talking about they ain't even seen it. Think about that for a few moments. They may have been to the beach and that was it. Do you realize how uninteresting you are if that's the case? Onan in the chat room said, because everybody in New York is too busy surviving. Okay, that sounds like struggling. I didn't say it's fair. I said that's what it is. I said that's what it is. I said that's what it is. So please keep that in mind. The average fella doesn't even explore the city he's in. Then you want to try to break your arm, patting yourself in the back, talking about places you haven't been. Buddy, you haven't even fully explored the city that you were born in, that you carry the blood of. Don't you understand that they can see you ain't conquering it? That matters. That matters. How are you going to convince somebody that you're the king of your city and you don't know anything about it? Remember, I had to sit up here and tell you all about the Brooklyn Bike Trail over there. Most New Yorkers don't know anything about it. That's the killing part. Most New Yorkers just stick on their block. Maybe at most they stay in their borough, and that's it. As a requirement of what I do, I make it my job to learn about these places. I saw the bridge in the first John Wick movie. The scene where John Wick is meeting up with his friend Marcus after he kills everybody, and he's standing under that bridge. And I'm like, okay, I went to Google to see where that location was. I said, that's not in Manhattan. That's in Brooklyn. I went over there. They got the Brooklyn Ice Cream Company. Giuliani's restaurant and all that. The merry-go-round over there. They have weddings and stuff, but the average New Yorker does not even go over there. And what I'm saying is, do you realize the most interesting parts of your city and whatnot, the things that would make you a more interesting person, and you don't know anything about that? You think that you're knocking out of the park by going to work and going home. There's an old saying, we work for a living, but don't forget to do some living along the way. Don't forget to do some living along the way. That's an important thing. A person wants to see if you got mastery of your city, that a tourist isn't supposed to know things about it you don't. And that doesn't cost tons of money. Can you be bothered to learn? Most fellas are like, look, if I'm getting some sex out of her, I'm getting maximum benefit. And what I'm saying is, by the way, do you realize you're not giving maximum benefit there? You're not giving anything to invest in. You're not giving anything to invest in. So you don't have leverage to do any type of crap testing. In Atlanta, I'm going to go there. Let's just keep it real. The average fella in Atlanta, he goes downtown and loiters over there near the Olympic Park. And then they go hang out at Lenox Mall, and that is it. That's all. Let's just keep it real. They're like a group of teenagers. They go downtown to hang out. They go to the mall to hang out at 30 or 40 or 50 years old. There isn't anything of consequence or interest or whatever happening outside of that. Nothing. That is the average male in Atlanta. No wonder they're just getting by. No wonder they're fighting to survive. They don't know anything about their own city. They can tell you about Magic City, but they actually don't know anything about anything of any consequence that's happening where they are. Hell, most of them don't know how to get around their city. Now, the average male does not factor that into their equation of why the females think that what you consider to be a producer and a pookie are the same thing. He's not actually doing that calculus. He's not. What I'm saying, okay, understand, here's the point. The point is that in the chat room, yeah, well, actually it's more than that, but that's not the reason. Okay, now you got me making a pit stop here right quick. And by the way, this is relevant to tonight's subject about they cheating all over. In the chat room, you said the Hotel Casa del Mar is $700 a night. Well, actually, it's more than that, but we can go ahead and start there. However, I do want you to understand something. You're going to meet people, or you stand a much better chance of meeting people there than you do down at the Damn Me Holiday Inn. Please understand that. Can I go there? I can go there about it if you want me to. Used to be the Ritz-Carlton, now it's the Whitley, right across the street from Lenox Mall. Used to be the Ritz-Carlton, now it's the Whitley. Do I have to tell you how many times I've seen celebrities at that place? That's not happening down at the Homewood Suites on the Loop. What? Please understand that. What I'm saying is you have a better chance of getting much more out of that $700 than somebody else. And I'm not guaranteeing anything I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to see somebody like that. What I'm saying is that, by the way, I promise you, you will not be seeing any of them at that other place at all. At all. You go to the W Hotel in Atlanta, not the Westin. And don't get me wrong, I love the Westin because it's very tall. It gives you a majestic view of the city, but most of the rooms in that place are the same because the way they built it is one big giant cylinder. So unfortunately, most of the layout of the rooms is all the same. So that I despise about the Westin in downtown Atlanta. But it has if you get a room on the high floor, it has a fantastic view. It's like few things I've seen on this earth. That's wonderful. But the celebrities don't go there. The movers and stuff don't go there. They go to the Sundial Restaurant. You'll see some of the Sundial Restaurant. By the way, if you really want to know, down there at the W, not the Westin, but the W, go there. By the way, pro tip. What I'm saying is that, yeah, you say, oh, Jason, it's $700 a night. Yeah, but there's certain people, you're going to be in a different environment. All the more reason to get your bread up so that you can start being in different environments and see different things. The Hollywood folk and the celebrities and money movers and people who are music executives and not just musical performers, there's certain places they go and certain places they wouldn't be caught dead in. Have you considered that? I was at the Trump Hotel in Chicago here a little while ago. I was in the Trump Hotel in Chicago, overlooking the river. Beautiful view, fantastic, really, really is. I'm not going to tell you about some of the folk I saw there because it would tip you off to when I was there. Maybe we'll go into that in the future. But by the way, yeah, they were doing their thing. They were doing their thing. And what I'm saying is, are you a man who believes in working a little bit harder, doing a little bit more so you can put yourself in different positions? That's what I'm asking. Are you working a little bit harder and doing a little bit more to put yourself in different positions? Because that matters. That makes a difference. Because it's something that tells us about who you are as a person. That's the point I'm trying to make. It tells us about who you are as a person. That's not just something that you just look at and it's like, oh, well, that's kind of forgettable there. Actually, it's not. It actually isn't. Not really. And you're going to have folk who are going to try to convince you it is. I'm telling you, as a person, as a man, you are stunting your intellectual growth and it makes you less interesting. Less interesting men. Can I say this and hurt your damn feelings? Well, it's the truth. Boring men get cheated on. Women cheat on boring men with the interesting ones. Damn! If all you are is a banker, that's it. Let me explain something to you. If you have an opportunity to go to the Trump Hotel, and let's just say you get one side, get a room that's on the riverside there, and do you all understand? And then you can ask me how I know. My folks who live in Chicago, most of y'all have never seen the London House building from 30 stories up. Damn! Most of my folks in Chicago, you've never seen the London House building from 30, 40 stories up. What? Now think about that for a few moments. I don't live in Chicago, and yet I can show you how I could be more interesting than the person who does live there. Yeah, it's very, very nice that you know where the chicken shack is. That's cool and everything. But by the way, how about some other things? It's a bad look when you have folks who can tell you about stuff that you can't even find in there. Take a little bit of time to become the master of your city in that regard. It'll be the best $700 you spent. It'll be the best $700 you spent. Even if you just do that for once. Why is that? Because, folks, listen to me. The average female, most of the females in Chicago ain't been in the Trump Hotel. What? Most, M-O-S-T, most. Most of the women in Chicago have never seen their city from 30, 40 stories up. I'm talking about in the mornings when the sun comes up, by the way. Oh, am I saying too much right now? Am I saying too much? Tell me if I'm lying about what position the sun comes up from, by the way. If I'm lying, then how do I know where the sun comes up? Let me try it that way. Looking out over the water, it comes up damn near straight over the river coming through the middle of Chicago downtown. The sun comes up on that from that side of the river. It comes up from there and then goes over. And by the way, floor to ceiling windows. Most of the women in Chicago have never seen their city that way. By the way, and I know Chicago kind of has a rep. It can be a little grimy sometimes, but I will tell you one thing. If you have the benefit of being there on a morning when it's cloudy, on a morning when it's partially cloudy, women who live in Chicago, y'all have never seen the sun coming up in your city like that. Partly cloudy, 30, 40 stories up when it's coming up over the river. You've never seen that. You've never seen that. You got guys thinking they're impressing you. Fellow, you can blow them out of the water. Yeah, it's not going to be the cheapest thing ever, but it's going to be something worth remembering. It's going to be money well spent because it's something worth remembering. Did you even take out the time to be able to do that and say, by the way, yeah, there's parts of the city that other folks don't even talk about in that regard? Have you taken out a little time to learn? Just a little. It'll make you a little more, it is a little more time that will make you a lot more interesting. Caller from area code 561, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Justin out of Woodland Hills.
All right, Justin, Woodland Hills, California. What's on your mind?
First time caller, calling into the show, and I'm about 29 years old, so just calling in just to say that, everything you've been saying so far has been really cool to me. So I'm just having some, just interesting thoughts here. So I remember there was a broadcast or a program where you said that, you don't have to be like Jay-Z or Chris Brown. You just have to be better than like the last three dudes that the girl's been with. So if she, may have dealt with like, one other guy who's, a ball player or just a regular bum, like how do you differentiate? How do you like measure yourself compared to like the dude she's been with?
Well, remember you're new around here, so you don't have to be better than everybody else. You just need to be better than the last three guys she's been with. That's her frame of reference. But you also need to show that you are competitive in the world at large. So that's what you do for yourself personally. You don't tell her where all the keys are. You don't give her all the information. The woman should never know everything about you. Never. Number one, she doesn't want to know everything. Number two, it's a security breach if she does. So you don't ever let her know everything. It's not her business, but furthermore, it's not to your advantage, it's to your disadvantage. The bottom line is, this is why fellas need to ask questions. You need to know all that coming in the door. And then you just understand where the real bar is. She's going to be telling you about Jay-Z. That's not where the real bar is. Because you see, she hasn't been able to bag a Jay-Z. You take a look at where she's actually been. You just have to outcompete them. Well, Jason, by how much? 10, 20%? Now that you've demonstrated that you can and it's real, now you've become the new bar. Now you can start crap testing.
Right. And it's interesting because, you know, where I'm living in right now, not to like dox myself or anything, but it's just like I see a lot of dudes in like Teslas, Mercedes out here. So, you know, just in Woodland Hills alone, it's like there's a lot of competition here, but it's just you don't know really who the women are really dealing with. Is kind of secretive in a sense. So it's like, you know, you got to really like be in your own lane, but you don't really know how to really measure yourself compared to other people because they're not really, you know, that 100% honest. So there's just that kind of vague.
Look, the reason why men who are set in places like Woodland Hills or, you know, Beverly Hills or wherever else has got the hills to it, the reason why is because they don't want people in their business, because a lot of these guys are sitting up here, they are juggling a number of different females. And they're operating on a professional level. And by professional, I mean they're not operating like children. Loose lips sink ships. So that's why the females they deal with, nobody knows anything about it. That's the whole point. So he can move, and if he needs to cycle her out, he can cycle her out, and nobody's the wiser. Remember, information is power. And smart people make sure they restrict as much of it as they can. What was the big mistake that Rihanna made? You know, she had access to Ashton Kutcher when she was too blatant about it. And that was the last time she got to go around him.
Right.
So men in those positions, smart men, do not value females who are prone to running their mouths. And if one does, that's it. You're done. Right then, right there. You talk too much. And he doesn't want to live a life where folks are in his business, because people in his business, they get to see it coming. You get where you have to run your life like that where people don't see you coming. If they see you coming, they can stop you. Why would you do all that work to get all that freedom and flexibility just so you can be limited? Doesn't make any sense.
I see what you're saying. Well, that's really all I had, Jason. Thank you for having me on here. It was a great call here. So I'll definitely call in again, but thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 323. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Big Brother Jason. This is Brother Elijah calling out of Brooklyn, New York.
All right, Brother Elijah out of Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother. I got a comment and a question. It's best to ask the question first, and I'll tell you the comment pertaining to tonight's topic. Hey, brother, I always wanted to know though, with this culture of cheating and everything like that, what it starts to I question, was the love ever there and everything like that, and I was just wondering, like, when did this cheating culture start, and if this behavior continues, will you see the mass majority of males and females will you just see the term marriage get wiped out in the future?
Okay, let's deal with your first question. Was the love ever there at all, brother? What's love? How do we define that? So before I can tell you about that, I need to have a definition. What's love?
You always taught love is a subjective term, so I'll use it in this terminology. Grandma and granddaddy's love. You say it like that, something simple. I'll put it for you in that regard.
Okay. Well, certainly I think that before now, relationships are really going to have a socioeconomic component to them. You're in a society that has become hyper-evolved in many ways, and that's one of the ways in which it's become hyper-evolved. So expectations have gone along with that. Now, let's go ahead and discuss where the problem comes in there. When you have a female who discusses love as a business transaction, and they may have heard some YouTubers or Kevin Samuels or somebody talk about it that way, that's not a good thing when you hear females speak like that. That's a bad thing. That is every warning red flag known to man going off. Females should never talk about love as business, marriage as business. If you see that, fellas, don't be a dumbass. You're being warned. Well, Jason, why? Because men can talk about marriage as a business because we mean something different than women do. Well, Jason, how can that be? Because men will die over business. Damn! Women never will. So when we as men describe marriage as a business, we don't mean the same thing that women do, because women will not die over business. Men will. So if that woman is part of our business, what we mean is that she's one of the things that we're willing to kill or die over. If she describes you that way, she's describing you as like a handbag at the Prada store or a pair of shoes.
Yes, sir. Brother, but here's where the here's another thing with that. Can this is this really gonna be the way it is for the next 20 to 50 years, basically? Because it's well, sorry.
Yes, the short answer is yes. I mean, because this is not some momentary aberration that's going to go away. This is the new normal. What you're seeing is female nature has come into direct conflict with societal evolution. They're getting what they said they wanted, but not what they actually need. And it's causing a bunch of problems in the meantime. And those are problems that are going to be permanent, because you only have a set number of years that the woman can get married and be viable for that if she wants a lifelong partner in the way in which she needs. So they end up getting what they want, temporary companionship, at the expense of what they need, because what they need has changed. It's not the same. What they need is different now. Women love attention. We've now created a society that's taken attention and turned it to a science and an art form. So you now have the ability to give a woman levels of attention and adoration that she could simply never get anywhere else. She's seeing women get things she's dreaming about and fantasizing about. That's become a real thing to her that she can really aspire to, and if she's really good, can really get. Now you as a man, the problem is she's not going to put forth the amount of effort necessary to do that. So your grandfather had a different burden than you have. In order to be deemed desirable, he had a different burden. The truth of the matter is the men from the top 10% were simply unattainable. They were in a completely different area of town or the world, and your grandmama had zero proximity to them. None. Today, these females have access tangentially to every man on the planet. Remember, just 2 decades ago, you didn't have access to an NBA player at all. Now he's just one DM away, with some of them responding. Your grandmama didn't have that. That was not an option. Your grandmama could go to a Jackie Wilson concert. She had to go fight the other 100 hoes to get backstage if she was going to do that. What she didn't have was the ability to get Jackie Wilson to DM her. That wasn't an option. And because it wasn't even an option, it wasn't an expectation. She didn't even dream to even expect it. Now they do. It's not just an option, it's actually an expectation. And in her mind, that's who you're competing with. Why, Drake could pop up in my DM, so you better act right, because Drake could show up.
Yes, sir. I got, but see, there's another concern with what you just said. Not on your end, big brother, but what you're teaching us, brother. We're not gonna be here forever, and I'm wondering, does these women out here, say no disrespect to them, do they really care that they're gonna be part of the long list of lonely graves out here? Basically, not sharing no man's last name, nothing, and everything like that.
No, because that's a misconception that you all have. Please remember, status means more than anything. So in the modern era, a woman would rather have a fling with a absolute producer than to have a permanent commitment from a second string average dude.
Wow.
Well, but it's true. That is female nature. She would prefer to that. Why do you think the women do all this cheating? She would rather have a fling and know what it feels like, at least for a while, to have that proximity and be claimed by that dude. Remember, she can't afford to pass that up. That opportunity may never show itself again, ever in life. And what she's asking herself is, am I willing to give that up for Elijah? To never even know what that feels like, because Elijah ain't going. Damn. Please remember, that's female psychology. Hey, dude, if you're not going, as far as she's concerned, if I don't sleep with Drake, I'll never know what it feels like because you ain't going. So you shouldn't really be mad at me because I just want to know what that felt like because you're never going to take me. That's not going to be an option for you, with you. So am I really willing to give that up? That I'm going to give, understand, for a female, she says, that's what I'm giving up for the rest of my life, is to know what that would be like, and I'm giving it up for you? Is he really worth that? Really? Is the man you're with really worth sacrificing lifelong experiences that you could never have again? Is he really worth that? In the chat room, that's not insatiable. What I'm saying is the average guy doesn't even scratch those things. The average guy has an average car, an average life, average experiences. Yeah, but you're surrounded by a world with above average and extraordinary things. And if she accepts you, then what she also is accepting is that she will never get to experience those things. She can just give it up now. And she's got to ask herself, am I willing to sacrifice that for this guy? Furthermore, what she's really saying is, why do I have to sacrifice that? Why do I have to give that up to be with you?
Yes, sir.
That's what women are really thinking. And by the way, it makes sense too. Fellas, it actually makes mathematical sense. No person gets with you thinking that they're going to be giving up things. They get with you thinking the things are going to get better and they're going to have more options. Not that they're going to get up and have fewer ones. That's not what they think is going to happen.
Brother, I'm not going to be political, so I'm staying on topic. But this is a question I have to get off my spirit. Another thing. Okay, I'll leave the marriage part alone. A lot of these women are willing to give up a lot of these guys that's in line. They're not looking to get passports and going to deal with other ethnic groups or deal with their cultures. They just want to do their thing at home. All right, they're ready, set, go type of gentlemen. And, you got a lot of protectors out here. You mean to tell me, I'm not saying you, like literally you, but you mean to tell me that these women even want to just give up the protection and basically be left as sitting ducks as an attack? I'll leave that where it's at. But an attack comes to them, they have no man to protect them. They care more about that fling than to be safe and secure with the average Joe.
Okay, please understand there are levels of security in the female psyche. You just only described one, physical, quote, safety. Yes, and what I'm saying is that, do you realize all the other levels that she feels like she's still vulnerable in that are not being addressed and, by your admission just now, will never be addressed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No woman ever gets up and says, you know what, just like with fellas, no woman ever gets up and says, you know what, I'm really looking for a beta. Any more than a man saying, damn, you know what, I wish I could find a fella with 5 kids by 5 different niggas. That would be my dream date. A woman's not doing that.
Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying is just understand, as far as she's concerned, you're telling her that any of these things that she's been thinking about her whole life, all those things she's been thinking about her whole life, she's got to abandon all of those. That's the cost of being with you. Is she has to give up those things, give up those desires, give up those aspirations. She can't have that. That's the cost of being with you. And she's asking herself, is that a fair deal? In the chat room, you said, No Trace said, everybody can't be a winner. Well, that's true. Sir. Mathematically speaking, you're absolutely correct. Everybody cannot be a winner. But everybody doesn't have to be dead last either. And most males are, if he can get a little drink and a little smoke and something to lay up with him, he's done competing. He doesn't care about becoming more interesting, of becoming a better version of himself. He doesn't care about that. He's more concerned about getting things that'll just give him regular maintenance. He's done achieving and done excelling. And please understand that makes you very easily replaceable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then my comment, I wanted to tell you, big brother, thank you for so much game that you instilled in me over the years, me and the other brothers and sisters here. All right. I'm speaking for all of us who do appreciate it. When you touched on something that I just did this month, I did actually get to learn my city. I have my nephew. I went to D.C., picked him up. We spent 3 days. This was earlier this month. And all the places you named, I took him to, this was all based on your teaching. I took him to Top of the Rock, Rockefeller Center. I took him to the Empire State Building. I took him to the World Trade Center. I took him to the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and everything like that. I took him to a lot of places because, you did say something a few years ago when you was referencing how beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. We got to stop giving our children less of a world than what we had. And, I wanted to instill that in him, but that all roots back to what you teach us. If you're in this city, get to learn your city and everything like that. And there was a lot of firsts for me, by me taking him there, but you opened them doors for us. So I just want to say thank you, big brother. All right, and I'm not going to hold you in B1 $ all day.
B1, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And definitely, like I say, it's worth taking a look into those things. It is certainly worth taking a look into those things because that's how you learn. And it doesn't take a whole lot, but nobody can make you want to do that. Nobody can make you want to do that. Let me get caller from area code 424. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, this is Bobby out of LA, out of Los Angeles.
Okay, Bobby out of Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Man, Jason, let me tell you something. For real, like you were saying, you can really see the gears start turning a woman's face in her mind when I start bringing up, let's go to Santa Barbara, let's go to Palm Springs, let's do this, let's do that, and it's you just know these dudes just aren't even lying. It's just once you put just some type of effort, just a little bit, not even a little bit, real effort into where you work, going to the gym, just getting yourself, like stated in past programs, the best version of yourself. Most guys really aren't doing that for real, and I'm really starting to see that out here. It's just crazy, So I just wanted to drop that here. If you out here working and grinding, keep doing your thing. The things are going to change eventually, but you just got to put in the work. But I've definitely seen for myself.
But here's the thing. I really got to take you beyond that because, fellas, if you want to talk about cheating all over, there's certain aspects that we as men tend to be very dismissive of. And I got to tell you right now, we don't do ourselves any favors being dismissive. I was talking about this on my Patreon the other day, but I got to remind you, fellas, we as men dismiss candles, for example. We think candles are silly. Candles are stupid, candles are dumb. Meanwhile, females love candles. That is a female-driven industry, is candles. Men can't stand them. Okay, please understand something. As men, you are hobbling your own development. Please understand that. If it matters to the women, it better matter to you. Because the guy she wants to cheat on you with, what I'm saying is that, fellas, do you think that you make yourselves more valuable by dismissing what a woman says is important to her or matters to her? Do you all think that that makes you better listening to Fresh and Fit? And do you think that dismissing women, dismissing what they're saying, their hopes and dreams and desires, the things that matter, it's little small things like candles, do you really think that makes you more interesting? Do you think that's upping your value and increasing your stock by doing that? I just want the guys to stop for a moment and ask yourselves, do you think that that little gesture is making you more valuable? Now, think about the dude. If you do think about the dude she might cheat on you with, what do you think he thinks about candles? Or if you knew it, if there was a chick you were trying to get the attention of, think of this in reverse. What if there's a chick you were trying to get the attention of and you didn't have the ability to talk to her directly or whatever? If you saw a fella's grip was weak, what would you do? His woman come talking to you, you're going to listen to everything it is that she says that fella's not doing. So guess what? All of a sudden, the candles with the oils, everything, you're going to be like, that's little things. If you could get Beyonce up from under Jay-Z's like with some candles, like, okay, Jay-Z hates candles. This nigga coming back with a Santa Claus bag full of candles. What? If you were trying to get a chick from another dude, you would be listening and paying attention to all the things he's not doing. If she talks about he doesn't like candles, you sitting up here going straight to Google. Okay, candles, mahogany scent, cherry scent. You're going to go get the exotics and everything. It's like, well, this would be like taking candy from a baby. Okay, well, fellas, what I'm saying is, do you realize that guy might be you? Think about that for a few moments. You're telling yourself that that's inconsequential and, oh, well, that doesn't matter. And what I'm saying is, I would like for you to rethink that in just one dimension. John, all I'm saying is, do you think that's making you more valuable? Am I going to go there? Not supposed to do this. Not supposed to do this. You all are not patrons. I'm not supposed to do this. Then let me go ahead and tiptoe off into the dark arts right quick. To every male within the sound of my voice, I want to tell you something. Because I could post a picture for you right now. I could post a picture for you right now. I can literally name 5 different cities in America, not even outside of America. Go to hell with your passport. You lames are sitting up there losing everywhere you going. I can name for you 5 places right now. 5. 5 of them with absolutely gorgeous views of their city. You can see the sun coming up in the morning, or you can dismiss it, whichever you choose. 5 different cities. And fellas, let me tell you, they're beautiful during the day, but they are absolutely breathtaking at night. I'm thinking about the Mandarin Oriental in New York City, overlooking Central Park. Right there with Columbus Circle. Let me tell you, it's gorgeous. It's not beautiful, it's gorgeous. Especially at night. New York City does a weird thing at night. The lights are not overwhelming at night, which is really weird. You would think it would be, but it's not. The lights actually get rather muted at nighttime, especially if it's raining. Now, there's another one. When it's raining and it's cloud cover, it actually gets rather muted at nighttime. It's not like in Atlanta at the Western where it starts raining and everything's all foggy. You can't see anything out the windows. New York is actually different in that regard. Now, fellas, I'm going to give you a cheat code in this. I'm going to give you a cheat code about this, and all the females listening right now are all sitting on the edges of their seats because they know every word I'm about to say is going to be absolutely true. Fellas, if you have the opportunity to do that, it will be the best. I'll just tell you, it'll be the best few $1,000s you spent. Yes, it is one of the Diddy suites.
And deal with it, nigga.
Not gonna lie to you. That's what I was telling you all last year. I'm like, oh, was Diddy in the damn room? Yes, he was. I'll be damned. I hope they changed the mattresses. Damn. Now that we know what he was up in there doing, I hope they changed the damn mattresses. Because he was in there showing out. I'm sure of it. Well, fellas, they are beautiful places. You take those things, you open up them automated curtains. You got a panoramic view. You turn on all you gotta do, you let her bring her little candles with her. Watch out for the smoke detectors. Don't start that mess. But if she knows what the hell she's doing, that's not gonna be an issue. You have candles there. She's never gonna be able to get that anywhere else. What I'm saying is, by the way, just a little change of venue. Let me tell you, 11 p.m. at night, windows open, overlooking Central Park and the skinny scrapers out there and whatnot, and the Nordstrom's building. My folks in New York know that, overlooking Columbus Circle, the Nordstrom's building, the skinny scrapers, Central Park. And you let her bring her little candles with her and she put it on the mahogany table. She's going to be taking pictures in the whole damn 9 yards. She'll never forget that. You don't have to stay there for a year. You don't have to stay there for a year. And guess what? The same thing works at the W. The same thing works at the Trump Soho. It used to be that. Don't go there anymore, though. You get the idea. Same thing works at the Wilshire Grand. The same thing works at the Marriott Marquis in Miami. Same thing works at all those places. Same thing. And what I'm telling you is every female in here listening right now, this is resonating with her. It doesn't take much. But as males, the first thing you'll do is say, man, damn a candle. Because to you, it's trivial or insignificant. And what I'm saying is, well, yeah, but it's not for you. It's about increasing your repertoire. And the men who are looking at your chick to try to pry her away, the candle thing isn't an issue for him. You know why? Because he's a politician. And every politician knows this. If it matters to your constituency, it better matter to you. If this is important to her, then it better be important to you. If this matters to her, it better matter to you. It doesn't cost millions of dollars. It doesn't. But it does cost giving a damn. What? It doesn't cost you millions of dollars, but it will cost you giving a damn. Can you be bothered to even show some interest? Okay, fellas, can you even be bothered to show some interest? Now, I'm not saying you just do this for everybody. And if that chick is a disciplinary problem and she's inattentive and this, that, and the other, okay, I'm not saying for everybody, but I am saying is that, by the way, fellas, if she does have value, these are simple little things. They really are. They're simple little things. I didn't say you have to move her pets in with you, but what I am saying is, by the way, do you realize where you're losing at that? Just saying. Brother Elijah just talked about Charleston, South Carolina. Do yourselves a favor, look up the Cooper. Lowe's Hotels, Charleston, South Carolina. Do yourselves a favor, look up the Cooper. You're welcome. By the way, before you even do it, I can take you to mega cities and whatnot and show you skyscrapers. You want to talk about things that are more picturesque? You want to hear about one that's a sleeper out there? By the way, the Cooper in Charleston, South Carolina, you're welcome. If you can get in, but by the way, you're welcome. And I can go down another list there, but what I am showing is Have you taken out the time to become a more interesting person? There's a number of you live in Charleston, South Carolina. What do you even know about the place you're in? One little thing that could make you more interesting. The Harbor Inn. Although it will not be nearly as nice staying at the Harbor Inn anymore because now they built that gargantuan Lowe's Hotel, the Cooper. Now it's just blocking the view. So can you really call the Harbor Inn anymore when Lowe's is blocking every damn thing? But by the way, for the fellas who live in Charleston or live near it, Monk's Corner and all that, how many of you even know about that, or are you just complaining? Oh, it's expensive and this, that, and the other. One weekend, just one, that increases your value. Just saying. One thing that increases your value. To a lot of fellas out there, did you think to yourselves you got cheated on because you got lax? Oh man. Damn! I didn't say it's right. I didn't say it's okay. But what I am saying is, by the way, fellas, did you ever think to yourselves that in some cases there, with a lot of fellas there, you got cheated on because you became uncompetitive, which is seen as a betrayal. You weren't doing things that you were doing before. You got lax. You were not the best version of yourself. And there wasn't anything left to lose. I was going through some things and this, that, and the other. Yeah, I hear that. But do you understand that that's not going to pay the bills and that is not going to compensate for what's no longer being achieved or being received? Did you get that? Just saying. How many fellas in here need to take a hard look in the mirror and say, by the way, did she cheat on a winner? Was that chick cheating on a winner, an objective winner, and you're acknowledges that everywhere you go in that regard? Or are you just telling yourself, well, I'm betting them fellas in jail? Did she cheat? If your woman cheated on you, ask yourself a question. Did she cheat on a winner? Was that what she was cheating on? I did not say it makes it right. I did not say it makes it okay. But I am saying, sidebar, gut check. Were there holes in the game? Did you get lax? Did you start taking things for granted? That's a tough pill to swallow, and I understand that. But I think you would benefit from taking a little bit of time to look into it. Because if the answer is maybe, might be something to think about. And that's going to rub a lot of fellas the wrong way, but I would just like to tell you here, fellas, just understand something. Yeah, a lot of flagrant chicks out there, but not all of them necessarily. And as a man, women follow our actions, not our words. And if your behavior has changed and your competitiveness has changed, she starts to see that as, okay, well, this has run its course. Especially if she hasn't made any major changes. She hasn't made any major changes, but you've made some. That could be interpreted as he's getting weak. Just thought I'd throw that out there. In the 21st century, I understand it's harder than it's ever been. I'm out here like anybody else. I'm not on another planet, but I will tell you one thing. Being competitive is the most important thing you can do as a man, but being competitive just doesn't just mean financially. The number one issue I see with men today is not being interesting. And a lot of you have been raised by single mothers and whatnot who told you that that's okay. I'm telling you it's not. I'm telling you it is not okay to be uninteresting. It's not okay to be the boring little sad sack. It's not okay. You tell yourself it is. All right, fine, if that comforts you. But I'm just telling you right now, Mr. Boring is constantly vulnerable. I don't care who you're with. I don't care how good of a female she is. If you are boring, you are vulnerable. No female gets with a man dreaming of monotony. And at that point, the only thing you are is the guy who pays the bills. They'll stick with you if they have no other option, but just understand she's going to perk up if something that offers some excitement and some breaking of the monotony comes along. She's going to perk up. Like it or not. That's what it's going to be. This is the new normal. Every female out there today is holding out her options. I've explained to you for years about how you disarm hypergamy, but other than that, that is what it is. Now you can go forth and use what you've learned, or you can sit there and hope for the best. We'll see how it goes. But don't expect this to change. This is the new normal. Oh yeah, one more thing for the sad sack daydreamers who are sitting up here telling themselves cute little lies. One more thing. If you were boring in America with your passport, you're gonna be boring in Thailand with your passport. Damn! If you were average and mediocre in America with your passport, you're gonna be average and mediocre in the Philippines with your passport too. If you were uninteresting in Kansas with your passport, you're gonna be just as uninteresting and boring in Belize or Brazil with your passport too. And oh yeah, when you do speak to the females down there, what do you find out? Yeah, the American guys, nothing to write home about. Grab their money and go. Yeah, if you were uninteresting here, you're not suddenly going to be the life of the party over there. You're just going to be a guy who pays the bills. Compete or perish. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our Patreon, the link is in the description. We do it every Saturday, 12 noon Central Time. You are more than welcome to join us. Deal with a number of things over there, so you certainly want to keep up with that as well. I get to talk about things that I do not get to talk about here on YouTube. I get to talk about things there that I don't get to talk about here. So, you're welcome to join us for that as well. I want to say thank you to everyone here tonight who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much here to Mr. Thomas Brooks, Young Investor. Thank you very much for your support. Shun C even jumped in there tonight. Seventh one is a new member, so thank you very much for your support as well. To everybody here in the Super Chat, we appreciate that. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for watching live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.